Welcome back to Exalted 3rd Edition, Crimes of Nature, the Dragon Bloods. Last time, a considerable number of things happened. Argument over what to do and where to go next was bantered around for a while. But first, actually, the first thing that happened was the one moment while I mute for a sec. Sorry, cat wanted it on the lap and I didn't want loud noises. Anyway, with that little interruption from my cat, the group was investigating how the things were going with the Immaculates in the Jade Orchid Prefecture. Turns out they had been going executionally. They went in with a plan to extract Sinus Lysaea under the authority of the Scarlet Empire, to use as a combination way back to the Isle bargaining chip and poke in the eye of the Immaculates. Yang used his authority as a member of House Sinus, although under a different name.
Authority. There's like 17 scare quotes there.
Authority, as far as everybody else knows, because they're not looking too close. To go in under a false name and basically try to sneak around and do a hitman level, figure out what was going on under the surface, while Repose spoke to Flowing River, the mortal appointee for ruling the Jade Orchid Prefecture under the Immaculate's plans, and poor Flowing River was rather drunk and having a kind of hard day and vented a bit to Repose about his troubles, while the rest went to the Grand Inquisitor and Sinus Lysaea and his the minions, and presented the legal argument for, actually, no, you're overstepping your boundaries, we own this place, and we're just going to be taking him back home with us, and also all of your plans for territorial domination, no, actually, we're going to be putting in a magistrate. Bye! And this threw him heavily off kilter, and as Yang discovered by shadowing him, this appears to have thrown the mysterious agent of heaven, Purple, the starry-eyed bastard, whatever you want to call them, considerably off of their game as well. They went off script from their meticulously planned letters and interventions and sent a desperate, just kind of like, hey, what's up, you want to get recruited? Just note of, oh god, I didn't expect this, I don't have time to write this letter kind of response. So it appears that in having derailed the Immaculate Order's plans for the Jade Orchid Prefecture, the personal plans of whoever is messing with you, for good or for ill, have been massively kicked off of a rail. What that means and how that's going to go, we don't know yet. But usually it's a good thing to poke Sidereal in the eye. Just for nothing else, for satisfaction. After that, the group split up to double-check on their contacts.
What are you gonna do, curse me?
Says man about to be cursed by every
Says
spider.
man suffering from curse.
Split up to check up on their contacts in the region to give the heads up that they're going to be heading out for a while, as they plan to head out towards the Blessed Isle. Spoke with Sun Guanyong and Sybil, who gave some updates about what they had been finding recently in the region. Some movement around the Gonzoda Redoubt, an old military fortress of Lookshy that happens to have a mad case of being cursed by first-stage weaponry to turn everything into crystals. And sightings of undead activity around it that sounds suspiciously like something that the Weaver would be up to. On top of that, they have promised to help keep the fort down out here if there's anything that goes wrong, and to let you know, and, make sure that they live up to their own proactive end of the bargain of, no, we're going to be more actively involved here while you're out, to make sure everything goes well. Same with Koi. And with that, I believe we have caught up to where we were last time. I think the final thing on the agenda was to... no, Repose already mentioned that the update to the Vigil was part of the off-screen discussions. So really the only thing left would be to go to Grey Falls, get the ship, and head out. So, might as well take our little token down, zip past, and go back to Great Falls temporarily. Hmm?
A place that people might call home, sort of.
Maybe.
Not really.
City, comma, the.
I unfortunately literally started getting my papers together to flesh out the crew.
Mhm.
But life intervened and I did not get that done. Would have been a good session to get that done for.
That's all right. We can either
Happens.
improv it or just have it happen a little later. That's okay.
I would rather have it happen a little later because I did actually have like a plan.
Oh yeah, sure.
I just did not get it finished.
No, trust me, I've had some stuff that has been delayed this week, so I understand. So,
While we're on the way down, I am going to ask Milan a couple questions here. Bradway, are you there?
might have stepped away.
They
from
might have
it.
stepped away. Okay, well, before we're like too long on the journey, Angler would have asked Vinny for I'd like to step away for a couple minutes to talk.
Is there any other business while in Grey Falls before heading out that any of the others would like to address? The satrap, any contacts like the pottery merchant, the dock hand, anybody in the plazas or military?
I'm going to be leaving behind my entire group of people that came with us out here, save for anyone who direly needs to go home, which I doubt because most of their job was to make sure things work. And they are going to be just going out to towns to keep an eye on things.
I would like to look into what the satrap's been up to, but I'm not going to go ask directly because that seems like a terrible idea.
Okay, and in the while you were away, Angler wanted to speak with Milan.
Okay. Sorry, I just got back from Rice.
That's
I
all
hope
good.
the rice is delicious, but yes, Vanif, I've been thinking about it, and there's no getting around it. I think I need to talk to your grandmother.
Really?
Yeah, think about it. We're bringing back that idiot over there. And if we're going to get any kind of trade deals or organization set up out here, it's probably going to have to be some sort of joint house thing because otherwise our two houses are going to try to kill each other. So the faster we get to the point where there is a joint deal of ownership over trade or any kind of commerce that's coming to and from this place, we should probably talk to her now as opposed to just showing up and going, hey, guess what? Let's figure this out.
I would agree with that, actually.
Do I think this is actually going to work? No, but I want to try ahead of time anyway.
I think you might be onto something. I have a feeling Grandma's been keeping me in as an idea in the back pocket as a possible link to your house. She had mentioned at times being on good terms with you as maybe a potential for an alliance.
Okay,
So-
great. I wasn't expecting this to work, or possibly work.
Nothing official yet, but yeah, I think she might be more amenable to a possible joint trade action out here than you may think.
Okay, we'll have to find a time once we're actually on the ship and on the way back, or we have a quiet moment that you can get in You have a way to contact her, right?
If she's in the garden.
Okay, that would work then.
Sorry, I'm eating food.
How
Yeah,
dare you?
How dare you maintain your body meats?
Do you want some
Unacceptable.
angler? It's really good. You should go try it.
Yeah,
that place
this
down the
transfers
street.
over into in character. This is
Yeah.
just happening over lunch.
Yep.
Unacceptable.
I just ate. Damn it.
Old man
fine.
sees Milan eating a bowl of rice with, God help him, some actual like cuts of dried and reconstituted meat in it.
Now there's
Sees him
bell
eating
peppers in
food.
this.
Inconceivable. How dare you?
You are encouraging the 3 worms inside of your body to consume your soul. You realize every time you put a grain into your mouth.
The what now?
Shameful.
The 3 worms. The 3 corpses. There's a lot of different ways that people refer to them.
Oh.
The digestion of grains makes it worse. Enough.
Just standing there eating at him.
Makes direct eye contact and just slowly chews.
I'm going to mute myself so I'm not eating in people's ears unintentionally and not for a gag.
Right. Okay.
Thank you.
In the meantime, I think that was okay. Right. Milan wanted to check up on what the satrap was doing, so you can stay muted. But to check up on that, roll me manipulation investigation.
Milan's
Ooh.
famously good investigation and manipulation dice.
There's a reason the 2 of us work so well together. Together.
Yeah, pity you had to say that you specifically didn't want the satrap's attention about this, because you ask what's been going on, and you are told, oh, the satrap's been meaning to meet with you, by the way. If you could just go see her before you leave. We said with the tone that you don't have a choice. If you leave and you don't see her, this is going to be a problem.
And a fun time was had by all. And we're just going to hand wave that, and then we're off on our adventure.
No.
While we're waiting for that to be able to happen, all right, so 2 points of business from Repose. He's actually going to bring his personal followers along with him, as, you know what, you're approaching the middle, may as well make a pilgrimage out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so that's just establishing that Repose will have work crew available
Yeah.
to work on things. And for more specific stuff, though, Repose would like to meet our captive guest cargo problem. Repose is just going to kind of show up in whatever room we are keeping Lissae in, and
Probably one of the bits of the cargo hold that's easily defended.
just let himself in there and settle there quietly for a while and appraise how Lissae reacts to his presence before introducing anything further.
Visible suspicion and discomfort because, oh god, that is like questionably heretical priest. I don't know where this is going, but you're also terrifying, and so I'm just not gonna like. Normally, you get the instinct that he would immediately be trying to wheedle out information out of you or try to talk his way out of something, but he has no idea. He has no idea what your angle is here, so he's just kind of being quiet and uncomfortable.
Alright, there's going to be quite a bit of in-character, awkward silence at their mutual indecision with each other. The occasional slow blink.
Just the kind of shuffling. He's still chained up in the same chains that he was in the prefecture. Obsidian just kind of hauled him over the shoulder and threw him in the boat. Was what ended up happening. So he's been just kind of tied up in chains for a couple of days now. So all he can really do is just kind of wiggle awkwardly to another part of a corner.
And this will eventually lead up to being abruptly broken with just still alive then.
By your graces, yes.
And Repose will be speaking in High Realm as he does this.
Mhm.
His manner of
And-
speaking in High Realm is odd as someone who has just kind of taught himself the language academically without routinely socializing with gentlemen of the center. But it has, so like, everything that he says is technically well structured and correct, but he makes no attempt to not have an accent that's in line with the way that he speaks normally.
Right. It's all
Among his
technically
family.
correct, but slightly odd ways of saying it. Like you don't like the equivalent of not using contractions or the equivalent of using odd synonyms, that kind of thing.
Yeah, he actually has a Kansai accent when he speaks Old Rome.
Perfect.
Perfect. Awesome. Amazing.
Well, and
I'm
also
keeping that
just
in mind.
generally, phonetically, he makes no effort to not sound Old South. Old Southeast.
Of
Oh, so you sound like an
Kansai
autodidact?
Latin.
Yeah.
I speak Latin with a Kansai accent, is what you just said.
Yes.
Yeah, so does Caesar.
And that's why I'm
So,
saying
like,
it's
At me,
canon.
bitch.
Repose will
Yeah.
make sure he is clearly understood, but is also fine with constantly reminding people he is foreign.
But yeah, he's like, yes, by your graces, I am still alive. Yes.
Oops.
He just kind of looks around at the boat, just trying to desperately think of any line of conversation, but Repose is about as approachable
So-
as a brick wall in terms of
Okay.
finding small talk.
Where are we right now physically?
So Repose went off to the cargo hold of the boat to speak with Sinus Lysaea on his own.
I've probably been keeping an eye on Sinus this entire time.
You might be just across the room keeping an eye on him
Mhm.
if you want to get involved in this conversation.
Do you want specifically to be alone with him, or do you want help?
Repose isn't seeking any assistance here, but also won't, like, try to actively shoo Yang away if Yang wants to surveil.
Because I'm like one of the other people with an actual, reason to do anything with this bastard.
Mhm.
So yeah, I guess I'll just walk in and go like, I do plan to kill him. That's still happening.
Wait, I thought the idea was that he actually seems like less afraid for his life and more confused of like, okay, I know that you were planning on killing me, but I wasn't sure if it was going to be through the realm or you get. What? Hang on, did you decide that? Just that visible
No.
flash across his face of like, hang on.
Oh, the other four are in broad agreement that you are a dead man. The details remain under debate.
I mean, we're
I
all
see.
dead men if you want to get down to it, really.
Yes.
How remarkably grim an outlook.
Of course you are going to die. I will die. He will die. He will die. Just, like, raises his hand from out of sight and Mode is perched in it, relaxed. There is no question of if anyone will die. Only where, when, who else.
Moat flicks a single tail flick at who else.
And he gets a pat on the head. Good cat.
Oh, actually, I have an idea.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna grab a folding chair from off screen or wherever the equivalent of it is.
Yeah, just a deck chair or something.
Just sit it wrong and just stare at him and go like, okay, cards on the table. I've always want to do this. I'm gonna villain monologue at you, okay? Now I'm an Exalted assassin, and your name's pretty high up on a list that may or may not exist, but definitely has your name on it.
The words you say after the words Excelsi Assassin are immediately lost upon him, as you can clearly see he has gone about 3 stages into shock and figuring out what the hell you just said, and oh god, wait, hold on, that's real? No, that's not rumors. Oh fuck.
Yeah, no, we're
Repose
still here.
will kind of slide in and firmly, like, poke one finger into his forehead and ease him back down to his seated posture. And just at this more personal range, you are not dead yet.
You're not dead yet.
And then, like, this is said in, like, a relaxed and jovial tone. You are not dead yet.
His
Slide
mouth
back.
is opening and closing as he tries to come up with a sentence then doesn't figure it out, and then like kind of like is just kind of gaping as a fish, like just you're just telling me that the Excelsior. You're just telling me this.
Right, it's a villain monologue because this is how sure of I am that you are not leaving the next fortnight at least with your heart in your body or your soul still. I'm killing you. It's gonna happen. So like, I don't know what they want upstairs, but like, just forewarning.
Why tell me?
Because if you run, I'll make it hurt.
Just a pall of fear just kind of goes over his face as he realizes, oh. Like, he actually sees through Yang's kind of social mask and sees the actual Yang that was raised by the Excelsi when he looks in his eyes and just kind of, like, shuts up and leans back.
And the only reason I'm telling this to you is because the next time my brothers come down here, you do whatever the fuck they say. And, you get reincarnated easier, and maybe you won't be such a shitheel next time.
Yeah, I understand.
Cool, great. Anyways, just remember, try to run. I'll find you. And I back
It
out
could
of the
be
room.
left unsaid that the missteps along your life that have led you to this point are
many. They're many.
numerous. You have reached the tipping point where the time it would take to understand where you have gone wrong would exceed the time you likely have remaining.
I would certainly like to put an effort into it in the time that I have remaining. Just kind of wide, desperate, greasy smile.
I won't save you.
Is it? He actually kind of looks back out in the hallway, lowers his voice, leans back into repose. Isn't he obligated to kill you if he's Isel? Don't the rumors say that they're obligated to kill all of the dragon's blood?
Mr. Lysaea, who precisely am I?
Presumably, he kind of looks at you again, focuses his eyes a little bit. Presumably somebody that I misread on our first encounter by that statement. The point still
What
stands.
first encounter?
Hmm?
Mr. Lysaea, to my understanding, we have not met before I entered this room today. You met each of the others in my current circle of acquaintances on the occasions that we were in what was formerly your city. I met your late associate.
And I have received a description of you from the late associate, and apparently he left out certain details. My
Understandable, there was little to our meeting at that time. And admittedly, at that time, I was well outside my usual state of mind as I was focused in the act of combating creation's enemies.
My point still stands, though. You have a viper among your brotherhood. He is sworn to kill those who have the dynast's blood in their veins. How do you... Do they know?
Repose just kind of entirely shrugs off that question with just, you see, this is the sort of insight I was hoping to acquire from making some degree of acquaintance with you in your remaining time. You see, these gentlemanly, these courtly things, they're well outside the usual range of my experience as a strange, provincial rolling stone of a man.
He
I didn't go to no fancy cloister on no high holy mountain.
his face just sort of drops as he realizes what you're actually doing.
Post did not really care about this exile family or understand the magnitude of what their deal is. No one has settled down and had that lore talk in character about this unpersoned great house.
I see. Well, I can warn you, then, that whatever you may think of that, he says kind of venomously towards the door, no matter what he says, he is sworn by an oath greater than the oaths of the Immaculates themselves to hear the tales, to see every one of the Scarlet Empress's blood dead. And the longer you keep him by your breast, the sooner it will be before it plunges into your heart.
Then we return again to the question I posed to you, Mr. Lassay. Who precisely am I?
By asking that question, presumably an outcast. He actually kind of is starting to kind of have his eyes narrow, and his cowardly look is kind of hardening into one of suspicion and a, you've sworn brotherhood with these men, and you know the secret, and you know this nature of this, and yet this concept washes off of you. What does this hearth actually mean to you?
I'm gonna change my ways, so that means I'm gonna spend the next 10 minutes trying to find a gap in our brotherhood to wedge it.
Is Yang shouting that through the
Is
door?
that an in-character
Still been
statement?
looking
I can
outside?
fucking hear you, you idiot!
He actually did legitimately lower his voice to not be heard by Yang. Also, roll me perception awareness to see if you could hear.
Okay, someone roll 10d10 for me, please.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Coincidentally, can I roll to see if I heard that?
Are you on the boat?
Yes.
I figured.
Oh, no.
that
Are we? Is this like in transit? If they're not
No,
in transit, then no.
This is before. This is like
Okay, then no, I'm not there.
we're buying time. Okay, so yeah, you hear just enough, Yang. So yes, you don't hear the exact details, but you definitely hear him trying to be like, oh, what does this hearth really mean to you?
You're just asking questions.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, you can yell that. His facial reaction to that is just kind of a twitch, but he doesn't show much more than that. He still lets the question hang.
Repose will give kind of a shrug and a roll of the eyes. Alliance, convenience, perhaps more, perhaps less over the course of seasons. But those are matters for other days.
Well,
You have been out here for some time, away from the comforts of the center. You have seen the lives we lead. You have seen the matters of events, which are regrettably ordinary so far from the pillar of the earth. And something that does remain, the barest bit to your credit, Mr. Lassay, you did show up and witness what we faced at the height of this year's water season.
he actually draws himself upward somewhat at that. There's one thing that if I must go to my grave, When I am brought before the dragons, I will have that to my credit.
And Repose will give kind of a bit of a wry smile to that and a bit of a gesture of just mild approval. Now there's a good state of mind. Indeed, savor that. Practice it. Do your best to be able to call that up and hold it near to you when you find yourself at the end. To die in the wrong state of mind is a terrible thing. It will weigh not only on your final moments, but on those of the lives beyond the life you lead today. When you wake up again in whatever creature the All-Mother feels would serve as a better vessel for your essence, perhaps a crab.
His eye does twitch at first at the word creature, and then just barely concealed sneer of like, oh, we're going here when you go on, but like, oh, all right.
They are delightful things, live free of obligation. No one begrudges a crab. Nature adores them. Anyway, digression about adoration of the crab.
I appreciate your counsel, priest.
Yeah, this might do for now. I think we're
Yeah, okay.
we're done the scene.
Was okay. So, Radway, you ready for the
Just getting in here.
Yep.
Getting a sense of whether he has an immediate and personal reason to dislike Lissay, that he has not done anything sufficient to cross those lines.
Hmm.
Yep.
And just plant the idea of, all right, you have, maybe at most a month to come to terms with your probable death. Maybe? How are you going to react to that? And Repose wants to appraise that.
Okay. So, meanwhile, Milan is strongly encouraged, politely, formally, to take the questions that he has for the satrap and about the satrap to the satrap, because the satrap wants to speak with Milan and has been kind of missing your presence here in Grey Falls for, I don't know, a couple of months at this point. It's been a while since you checked in.
Yep. All right.
So,
It's gonna suck, but gotta get it done.
you are led into the Four Winds throne, up atop the giant's head. And again, the opulence of the Four Wind throne manse and the sheer now that you actually have a sorceress insight into things, the sheer sorceress and magical might of this place is far more apparent to your eyes. The absolute power that is coursing through this place as a conduit, as just one of many across the entire world. This is a small piece of what is powering this sort of creation, and this place alone could probably vaporize a small army. Just being here gives you another very weighty reminder of the absolute power the realm has at its control.
It is enough to give me pause as I am being let up.
Mm-hmm.
Just the, okay. I see now.
Mm-hmm. So, like, they're not being like dicks about it. So, like, they let you have, your, this is impressive moment, and then continue forward. The satrap welcomes you back into her throne room.
Old man does not.
Okay,
hate
where
the
is
concept
this
of
one coming
boats.
from, though?
No, that's bowls. That's
Boats.
old man
souls,
hates the
right.
soul, bolts with the soul. Yes.
And he doesn't have a soul. It's just smart in different ways. Bowls aren't real. Those are made up.
But yeah, you are led into the satrap's room. She, again, is dressed in this time, much more kind of like seasonal blue dark dress, seated in the throne. Somewhat more conservative than the look you saw at her at first with her. She gives a smile that is not entirely predatory, I would say.
Darren,
When she
would
Hmm?
I know her name? Has this come up?
I'm pulling that back up. The current satrap. Okay, I needed to pull up the realm book because for some reason I didn't copy that part down into my notes. So just one moment. Her. Her name is Verheen.
Verheen. Satrap Verheen, it is an honor to be summoned into your presence.
It's good to see you again, Vinith Milan. It's been a considerable period of time. It's from the sounds of things, you and your brotherhood have been getting up to quite the adventures up north.
Yes, we have been kept busy by the ongoings of the land.
She kind of settles back into her throne slightly, giving you an appraising look, which is going to actually be a read intentions roll if you want to buff any of your guile.
Sure. Let's have a look.
Milan's famously good guile.
How many days has it been since I went nuts with that moat spending last session?
I mean, it would be only a matter of hours to get you back to your full mode cap.
If you've
Okay,
had a
so-
night's sleep, you are recharged.
Yeah.
Let
Yeah,
me
like-
recharge.
Mhm.
Okay, I am going to spend 6 motes to bump that up to 6 guile.
Okay. Just barely does not hit it. You get a very piercing, searching look from her, and just reflexively draw yourself in, calm your face, lower your heart rate, just show no external signs of anything. And there's the briefest flicker of just a mild irritation across her face before going back into the smile. I must say that I have heard quite impressive things about you and your brotherhood, and I must congratulate you on putting such a good face forward for the realm.
We are happy to be of service to the realm and to the satrapy.
She nods. I was made aware that you had started to set up a trade agreement with the Fallen River province in the realm's name. Is that correct?
Indeed, as the Minister of Transportation and a member of House Vanif, I am afforded such responsibilities and obligations in the matters of commerce of the realm.
Of course, and I would never gainsay your ability to do so and your skill at as such from the sounds of the matter. However, I am disappointed that you did not discuss this with me as the regional administrator of the Scarlet Throne before taking initiative on the matter.
Of course, I had no intentions of circumventing your authority. The matter had come so swiftly and so soon, I hadn't the opportunity nor ability to consult you on the matter, if you will forgive my impetuousness.
It is understandable for one in their youth, especially when given a short time opportunity to leap upon it, especially for ensuring that it remains in the realm's grasp if it is such a fleeting opportunity. I just wanted to call you here for a specific discussion of the details of this trade agreement. After all this trade is going to be going through Grey Falls, and I would like to have some of those details regarding local tariffs addressed in more detail.
Okay, I want to talk this up in a way that sounds more beneficial to Grey Falls than it actually is. What would that require?
That would be manipulation bureaucracy.
Manipulation. Oh, okay. Let me see if I have any charms that would help.
It was at this moment that Beneath Milan realized they needed to have manipulation 12 to continue.
Well, this is not nearly as bad as a roll as what you got here, but yeah, no, it turns out when you try to, like, mess with the local economy and you don't include the biggest realm player in your plans, and then they hear about that, they're not happy with you.
No.
I
Okay.
will build the honest face character who is all charisma and none manipulation. This is the first lie you tell in the campaign.
Yes, this is this is Milan's weakness.
Yeah, Milan is phenomenal at being straightforward and earnest and upfront. The moment Milan has to lie, it goes to shit.
Milan is a flawed person. Let's see. Okay.
Says you. I think their only flaw is being too perfect.
Okay, that is going to be...
Yeah, Milan is having the moment where I'm amazing at finding legal loopholes. I have no idea how to bullshit my way through something on the spot.
There's the rules, and then there's the rules.
There's the politics.
Okay, that went not bad. 5 successes.
All right. So you're basically talking up the benefits of the trade agreement that you laid out for Grey Falls, dancing around the whole, where the hell is my personal stake in the matter part of it. You're trying to talk up, look, renegotiating it would be difficult. I'd have to go back.
I would be bringing up that Grey Falls is the major port, so the vast majority of all trade will be going through here. That's bringing in that's going to boost local business as more merchants and travelers come through.
Oh yeah, that is 7 successes. As pointed out.
The excellency.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
right. 2 auto successes.
Yes. So yeah, no, you're basically just talking up like a very on your feet, kind of panicked, but as you're going into it, just slowly smoothing out and realizing, okay, yes, I'm not giving you a personal bribe. I didn't talk to you at first. Like, this is me summarizing the much more polite and long-winded version that Milan is giving is, yes, I went over your head. I shouldn't have gone over your head. Yes, there's not a personal bribe for you involved in it. I should have given you a personal bribe involved in it. That's how this thing works. However, it was a spur-of-the-moment thing, and if I go back and relitigate it to have a personal bribe, that might ruin the deal. And on top of that, this is such a good trade deal for Grey Falls that the tariffs are going to go into you already because, hey, the local extractive, tariffs and import and export fees are probably mostly just going to you anyway.
Look, do you want a small bribe now or a bigger bribe next week?
Yeah.
Remember, I've got one
Look,
complaint,
it's just
and that's
too
that you
soon to start claiming bribes in this situation. We're just doing the setup.
make,
We
old
put the
man
squeeze to
fucking-
them later. Raheen leans back in her throne and starts listening to Milan's explanation. At first, just kind of having the visible look of just like, yeah, this is somebody talking their way out of owing me money. And then starts listening to your argument and is just a combination of impressed and irritated that, like, damn it, I can't argue that. Damn it, that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Uh,
Sorry.
no. That was not an at you. That was an from her of just like, it makes sense. I don't want it to. Because you undercut my authority, but in the long term, that's still better for me. But it still means that I lost face because you just went around my back.
This idiot child made me look bad, but
Yes.
I'm going to get out ahead in the long
I'm
term.
still going to pull out ahead, but I have to deal with, in the meantime, someone went rogue on my authority as the satrap.
Now, of course, throughout all of this, I am making sure to give the impression of, oh yes, you're in charge. I am just a humble member of the realm
Just a
beneath
little
you.
guy.
Just a little guy.
Yeah, and all of that is clearly, as you start doing that, doing wonders for her ego and calming her down slightly. And just like, look, as long as you don't openly, basically, this is not what she's actually saying, but the visible look is like, look, as long as you're not openly undermining me and openly making me look too bad, whatever. Just what it boils down to after she listens, she's just like, you have made a very convincing argument regarding trade, and I commend you on your foresight on the matter. In the future, I would like to be consulted with further developments of the infrastructure of the region, just so I would be aware of what is happening and I may be able to give input on the matter, as I have a considerable amount of experience with the region and may be able to give insights that you would not otherwise have access to.
Of course, you are her redness's appointed dignitary of the realm. It is natural that I must consult you on local matters.
Indeed. She thinks for a moment. One other question. How has that gentleman from House Nellens been doing?
Give me 2 seconds to remember who that is.
That's me.
That's Angler.
Angler. Okay.
Everybody wants Angler.
I believe he is well, but homesick.
Well. Far be it to me to discount one's feelings of homesickness, as I don't have my own feelings of longing for the Isle on occasion. Should he ever decide to make his way back to the Isle, I wish him a safe and swift return.
I shall convey your kind words to him. He is actually making an expedition back to home to be with his family.
Fair winds at his back, then.
And on that matter, I will be, for a time, going along with him as matters back home have called me.
That gets a kind of surprised flicker across her face. Really? I hadn't heard on the matter. I suppose if it's a private family, I shall not pry.
Thank you.
Well, I wish you both the best in returning to the center. And should matters bring you back out into the direction of Grey Falls, I look forward to continued prosperous agreements between us both.
You honor us with your hospitality.
Go with the dragons, Nave.
Bow, leave, take a deep sigh. That was way too easy. She's really easy to be buttered up. I say this as I have well left the area, not immediately.
Like once you are like to yourself several thousand yards away, kind of thing.
It's really easy to just butter up satraps.
That's like after we cut back to the cafe for team meeting.
Yep.
Cafe or boat is this. This is Milan mumbling that to the others. Like everybody else is hearing that.
So, Old Man has something he wants to do.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. This is actually not going to take very long, and it's going to involve Old Man thinking very heavily about something, then making a decision to help with, on his own, like, power.
Mm-hmm.
And has a thought. and decides to go out into the wilderness, so a slightly forested area, reasonably forested, and looks for a particularly dense patch of forest in that area,
Okay.
and
Go-
lifts up a full tree trunk that is just kind of like sitting there on the floor,
Mhm.
and digs out a small opens up a small cellar that was left back there about
Ah.
40 years ago.
All right, I was gonna ask for a roll, but no, you don't need to roll for that. You know exactly where this is.
Mm-hmm. Gonna go ahead and use Stormwind Rider really quickly. Just gonna keep that around because I can move cargo as well. And Old Man digs out around 80 to 90 pounds worth of scrolls and books and stuff, and
Mhm.
general notes and documents,
Yep.
and just kind of brings those with him. And then once he gets to the boat, just drops them on the main deck.
Secret old man archive.
There is a deafening thunk, and the boat sways as 90 pounds of parchment and leather binding smack onto the deck of the boat, and several crew members just jump like, ah!
That's a lot of parchment.
Yeah, no, it's probably like 10 feet tall.
This is
Or
for
higher.
young Milan. I don't want any of you messing with it.
Understood, Elder.
Where the hell is he?
I believe he's at the tea house, the usual one near the dock, near the quartermaster.
The usual one. You assume I know what the usual tea house is? Do you ever see me going into a tea house?
You went there the last 2 times? Flickering glass says.
And then do you think I remember that?
Yes, and I think you're messing with us.
Correct, on both accounts.
They're learning.
Flickering glass can't help but start laughing as the rest of the crew just looks at him like, wait, what? It's like,
Wait,
I'm so proud of my boys.
So yeah, everybody has gathered back at the tea house at this point,
Does
including
Flickering
Old Man.
Glass get experience for that?
Flickering glass. I will say, yeah, like 1 experience point.
Dude.
Remember, Flickering Glass is the crew member who botched the very first roll of the game to tail Yang in repose.
He has stealth too. What do you want from him?
He's trying his best.
Hey, Stealth 2 would work on a lot of normal people. We are not normal.
Flickering Glass is pretty good at sailing stuff, not being a tailing criminal type. But yeah, so group has come into Milan mumbling that it was too easy to just be on her good side.
Young Milan,
Oh, yes.
there's a
Sifu.
gift for you at the boat.
Thank you.
I'll tell you more about it when we get back.
This is surprising. But
Well, it's
You
not
all- you
really
all-
for you. It's sort of for you.
I go to do the buttering up you honor me thing and then catch myself realizing, what? No,
That doesn't work on him.
This doesn't
Wrong
work on
person.
him.
Wrong person.
Yeah. Natural Guile 6. As high as it can get.
Natural Guile 1. No, Natural Guile 3, Manipulation 1.
Mhm. All right, yeah.
And
So,
I guess back at the boat.
yeah, back at the boat. If anybody wants to continue the conversation with Malone or have anything else to do before we kick off.
Did Milan explain everything that happened there?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I figure off screen I explained like, okay, this is what they wanted. They were more upset at me with that whole trade deal thing, and I didn't give them any kickbacks on it, and you know how they are.
So you forgot to bribe them, is really what this boiled down to.
Yeah, I always do that.
I mean, That's not the worst thing that could have happened. So it's all right. It's funny
Yep.
that this keeps happening. Did you have that feeling of deja vu when you walked into that place?
Yeah.
Like maybe you've done this exact same thing before?
Millions of times.
Yes. So I appreciate that you want to inform the satrap anytime we do something
Oh,
important.
they called me this time.
Ah.
Yeah.
Did they ask about any of us besides me?
No, just you, and they just wanted to know how you were.
That's not good.
Yeah, all I told them is that you were homesick, the usual answer for any member of the realm far away.
That's really not good. Okay. If they nothing I can worry about that now. We're not gonna start things. We're not gonna start things. And then just that's it for me. That visible look on his face of I can't talk about this right now. We are being watched by at least a half a dozen people, I'm sure.
Mhm. And
So
Actually, you know what? I'll use the charm to see how many people are actually watching us.
about 8.
Cool.
You're not sure how many of that is just there's 5 dragon bloods in the bar and there's nothing else to look at interesting, and how many of those are like people on the take. That the charm doesn't tell you that.
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Mm-hmm. You do have the secret conversation charm if Yang was there to facilitate it.
Nah, it's fine. We can wait till we get on boat.
Yeah. House Sinis does have some spying, but it is not how we do spying as a business. House Sinis has realized that when you get incredibly drunk and fucked up at a House Sinis party, a lot of information usually falls out. Yes.
A big thing about this is also, just like we explained with shattered, broken glass.
Flickering glass?
That one.
Mhm.
Something glass. You might have mortals in their employ to keep an eye on us, but we're not normal people. So yes, we know that we're being watched. It's more a matter of the I know that you know that I know that you know game.
Yes. There's a lot of Yomi involved in dynastic politics, for lack of a better word.
Well, I'm really glad we're going to be on a boat for a month, so I don't have to worry about this.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, no, I do, because we have to drag that idiot. God damn it. That's it for me on that one, though.
Okay. And for chat, Menemen is architecture and religion is their 2 big things. Anyway,
Yes.
back onto the boat. The first thing that Milan sees is the or higher sized stack of books and scrolls in the middle of the deck, just kind of sitting there. There
Milan.
have been a couple of crew members that have gently put things back on the stack when the waves kind of bump them off a place, but they otherwise have not touched it.
Milan's eyes go wide as, oh, this is what he meant by a gift.
That is about 70 years of scientific, alchemical, political notes about various points of time and history, local history, and many other topics. I wrote every one of them.
Thank you.
For the most part, my gift here is not really to you. I imagine you'd prefer to give most of these over to whoever you're installing as a leader here. Knowing the local political history would be very useful, especially from the perspectives that I wrote about them. A more unbiased view.
That would give us An edge.
And yes, the detail to remind about. Old man is not illiterate. He just doesn't know Old Realm.
Yeah, old man only speaks and reads and writes River Speak,
So
which is
the
a
first
trade language in the rest of the world, but is local here because old man doesn't leave the east that much.
So the first question that I stumbled out but caught myself was, "Wait, you can read and write?" But I did not say that.
You went underwater for a second there.
Yeah, your
That's
voice.
weird. Am I back to normal or underwater?
Yeah, you're good now.
You're back to normal.
Okay, that was weird.
Stop eating rice.
No, dinner's done. I was going with my question that I caught myself, that Milan caught himself on was, wait, you can write?
His handwriting's excellent, by the way.
Yeah, that's gonna catch Milan off guard.
Just because I haven't done it in about 30 years doesn't mean that I can't.
His penmanship's excellent.
I wrote for 70 years. Of course I would be. The confusion lies in that old man learned sorcery from a book he could not read because there was in a language he could not read.
Yep.
It's not that he can't read, period. It's just that he can't read, Old Realm. It's that, like, Old Realm being a very old language, it kind of needs schooling to read it properly.
Milan is going to have this taken to wherever his quarters are going to be on the boat.
Yeah, just in the cabins. It's a bit of a tight fit, but you're able to get it in. Alternatively, you could put them back in the manse through the
I was going to
portal.
say, alternatively, back in my room in the manse.
Yeah, so the way back to the manse works is that the portal to the cabins the door to the cabins in the boat now has a barely visible kind of notched section above the door where roughly the keystone of an arc would be. And by pressing in on it and channeling a slight bit of essence into it, the portal activates. So basically, it's a doorway that is repurposable as a way back to the manse. How big is the boat? It is a medium-sized cargo vessel, so it's a large boat in the scheme of things, but not huge, and still, cramped because most of it is given over into cargo space.
For most of the people on the boat, accommodation is you have a hammock that you may string up when it is time for sleep.
Yes.
If you can find the space for it.
Mm-hmm.
Why have we not already moved the cargo into the lair? Into the manse?
It seems that the crew is either unaware of or incapable of activating the portal.
Well,
Maybe it has
yes
to be
and no.
essence users.
Well,
Let's-
we have
let's,
said that we're
uh,
going to be taking cargo back to the Isle, so if we were ever boarded by a tariff group, they'd need to see that we have actual cargo.
Also a good point. So, with that, I believe we are done in Grey Falls and we can begin the adventure. To the world map.
No customs
Loading.
house can hold us.
Loading.
Back at it again on world map.
Oh boy.
Finally, God, 7, 8 months? I've lost track. Yonks later, I finally get to use this thing.
When does nope, never mind. Too dumb of a joke.
No, go ahead.
When does Wallenstein join the party?
That'll be when the Civil War kicks off.
Yeah, when the
Great.
dynastic civil war happens, and I have to spend
30 years.
40 minutes explaining the rules. So, the initial river trip is relatively quick in terms of it just being a few days sail downriver to get to the fork, tops. And the first real landmark that will be being passed by has been discussed recently, the Gonzota Redoubt. The Gonzota Redoubt is visible, in a sense, from the shore. It does have, well, had, before the incident, a canal system to get some river boats out towards the inward land section, towards the river. Those have fallen into considerable disrepair and crystallitis at this point. The crystallization effect does not make it all the way to the shores, but when you look off towards the east when sailing downriver, you can see on the horizon just a glittering, jagged amethyst plain. Just the normal trees and grass and foliage and wildlife just sort of stop and just it's like calamity crystals kind of terrain.
Did we want to stop here or keep moving?
That's up to y'all. That is cursed as hell, and I don't want to go anywhere near it.
We had rumors of bad dudes are poking this, and if they have a scheme to hatch, then we want to thwart that. Probably.
Alright. So at least dock for a little bit to poke around the area and look at it. Because again, it's not a huge area in the scheme of things. It's maybe 4 square miles. But,
If we do anything to this that breaks the hold of Lookshai and the area, the realm will be ecstatic.
Mm-hmm. So there is no sub-map for the Gonzota Redoubt as of yet. That is I'll just be open about that. That's a longer-term project. That is going to be a considerable thing when that is a full delve. But for now, the terrain is, when you approach it, kind of beautiful in its own way. Just everything is a mixture of what it once was over a century ago, flash frozen into amethyst, just trees made of perfectly shaped crystal and just beautifully glittering in the sunlight, and then shattered, smashed bits of fragmented gems of birds that fly into the area and then fall down and hit the ground and explode, or just the natural weathering of weather effects breaking things down and other things like that. And there are some visible things like wild animals that got caught, bushes that have been broken. The edges of the terrain as you are walking around it are very visibly have been picked at and like deliberately regrown, shattered, pulled. It is very much a situation where this has turned into a cottage industry, and Repose in particular, living here, as would Old Man, would especially know. Amethysts out here are basically about as cheap as dirt, because you have a renewable supply. So long as you throw anything organic into this area, you're going to get amethysts back. It is a hauntedly beautiful kind of area. Those who want to make full investigation of the outside circuit without going in, please roll me perception awareness. If anybody wants to, poke in a little bit, you're going to have to let me know about that.
Milan's too creeped out to approach.
Okay. That is 5 successes from Angler. Would anybody else be poking around?
No.
Roll me a 10d10.
Sure.
I got it. I just have to hit up.
Oh, yeah. That is 6 from Yang.
Gonna give it the old, where's the doom?
I'm rolling a survival check, by the way.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, Yang is going to get a different kind of information then.
I'm probably just gonna go up somewhere high and be like, vibe check.
Okay. So Yang is rolling survival, Angler is rolling awareness, and Repose is rolling doom. Great, that is actually a pretty broad spectrum of information y'all are going to be getting. So, first of all, Angler patrolling the area gets the sense, first of all, that even from the foliage around the amethyst, like, there is a hard barrier, like there is an invisible line drawn in the dirt of, you know, put 1 foot here and it's fine, put 1 foot on the other side of this invisible line and it's going to turn into a rock. Even the foliage in the general area around is pretty undisturbed. It seems like, unsurprisingly, a lot of people consider this place mad fucking haunted and don't go anywhere near it. The people who come out here for gems are probably the only real presence humanity has had near this thing in a century or so. You do actually, vaguely remembering the comment that Sybil made of trying to bust her way in before having to be dragged back out, do note as you are patrolling the outskirts a line of very thickly smashed piles of amethyst and trodden down crystal that goes in about 20 or 30 yards, and then there's a drag line all the way back out. From all appearances, she kept recrystallizing, busting out of the crystal, taking another 2 or 3 steps forward, crystallizing, repeat. For Yang, there is a strange sort of enforced peace, you would say, is the closest words you can have to describe the feeling of the natural order around here. The essence of this area has been very thoroughly scrambled. The natural dragon lines through this area kind of got overwritten when the bomb went off, and rewrote themselves around the big ol' scab in the land. And everything else around here just seems to be a natural organism that has an arrow stuck in it. And instead of ejecting the arrow or healing around it, has just kind of gone, you know what, okay, I'll live with that. I'll function like this. It is a system that has adapted to a major, just cataclysmic event happening to it. The one thing that stands out to you as odd is that from one specific direction, some of the wildlife and plants seem a little bit enervated, a little bit weaker, a little bit less good. And that will segue into the second half of Angler's role and the contents of Repose's role. Repose doesn't take long to spell some doom, but it is not a very significant amount of doom. However, it is enough to zero in on, go across the perimeter, walk across it clockwise until looking in, and yeah, no, those are not actually rocks or deer or any of that. That's people stuck in the amethyst, and upon closer examination, Repose can tell those are zombies. Those are lower souls that were piloting bodies that were shuffled into the amethyst and made it maybe 5 or 10 yards before turning into amethyst. You're not sure how fast the process is normally, and you don't know how fast or how quickly or how resilient they were in comparison, but it is pretty clear that they were shuffled in there as a test of like, all right, so does this work? And looks like the answer is no. You still sense the lower souls inside the amethyst, but since they don't actually have a body in the sense of their own definition of a body to pilot around, they're just kind of stuck and confused. They're protected from the sun because they are inside a rock, but they're just kind of there and just kind of like, well, now what? It is a group of like 3 or 4 zombies, looks like, and Angler was able to find the people without knowing that they were zombies, until Repose's kind of fixated look probably gave it away. And Angler specifically notes that a couple were also smashed to pieces around them. For what purpose, or how, or why, unclear.
Can I see what smashed into them? Like, is there a rock or a bolt or something nearby that would show what it was?
Roll me a second perception investigation roll, and this is going to be a fairly high difficulty. So,
Nah.
no, you honestly, it looks like they may have just blown themselves up from all you can tell. There's no visible large rock or anything like that would have hit them to make sense. They just kind of didn't. They were, and then they weren't.
Okay.
Is there anything Repose, Angler, Yang, anybody would like to do to investigate further, experiment, poke around?
Well, we can get closer if we want to because we have the cloud, correct?
It is a 360 aura. If you go up in the air, you're still going to get hit.
Cool, thank you.
That is something that would have been explicitly
Yeah,
mentioned.
if you wanted to
Right,
probe
the
this
birds.
place, it would be a matter of projectiles.
Yes, throwing things in. Or, like, having very large poles. Which you have both of those.
True. Angler's going to go over to Vineath and ask for a couple pieces of paper.
Here you go.
And then is going to go over to Repose and ask if they could be folded into origami shapes of birds.
It is already beginning as you are in the process of voicing the question. He just kind of starts doing it. After you put paper in his hand, is like, oh, you mean like this?
Yeah. You give the artist the tools they need.
Yeah, 1 die stunt on that.
Bird up.
Bird up, bird up, bird up, bird up, bird up, bird up. Those are just... Repose's hands are almost moving faster than you can see. It takes less than 5 seconds to make an origami bird with each piece of paper.
The first one is sacrificially thrown away to distract mode so that the rest of them can be made at all.
Immediately pounced upon it, Mode being very careful to swat it in the direction away from the amethyst. But then, upon doing so, immediately begins to disembowel the effigy.
And then taking the remaining 2 birds, I would guess, and then put them in the aura, let them turn to the amethyst, and then take them back. With a bowl.
Yeah, okay, so you toss one in, and it takes less than 3 seconds for the entire thing to just... It goes from paper to amethyst instantaneously. There is a spread from the moment the first bits of it spread into the amethyst zone. It starts to creep out from there, but it is extremely fast. It is a matter of less than 2 or 3 seconds. So, and then once you fish them back out, you hold it up, and yeah, it's completely solid amethyst. And the folds are no longer folds, it's just, it has been calcified, except for amethysts.
Juan has something he wants to try.
Mm-hmm.
Juan wants to craft, just out of like wood and some string, just a very simple set of bolas.
Okay.
It's been a while since I've made something. That would be
a dexterity craft check.
Yeah. Dexterity craft.
All right, yeah, it takes you about 10 minutes or so to like get some wood roughly hew them down, put a hole in it, put some rope through. Honestly, probably closer to 20 minutes, but yeah, like you get it enough. It's not going to be great for combat, but for throwing it in as a bola, yeah, it's fine.
And then use seeking throw technique to throw it in and have it veer right back out.
Okay. As you throw it in, you once again witness the transformation process is extraordinarily fast. It is, before they go a couple of feet into the amethyst, they are completely, from the core in and outward, turned into amethyst. But the charm still functions and pulls them back out.
Okay, that was the curious part, was would the charm still have effect? Neat. And I've got these amethyst balls now.
Mm-hmm. And as chat brings up, hey, Yang, this weird magical set of amethyst could be interesting components for alchemy or mahjong.
I already got the blue one, though.
Fair enough. I just wanted to, alert you that this is something unique.
Amethyst is purple.
And the better varieties of amethyst are actually slightly red tinted.
Mm-hmm.
Propose would like to get those zombies out of there. At a glance, one could look at this situation and think, all right, so it's a failure and will be written off, and you're not yet operating on appropriately wizard-brained layers of what this could mean to someone with the patience of an old ghost. Because what this has done is successfully planted multiple partial souls inside the zone, and the souls are still there. The souls themselves aren't being crushed or altered yet. Maybe they would over longer exposure. Maybe this weirdness just doesn't affect souls directly and a ghost could just waltz in there. And Repose would rather that this potentially valuable experimental data, be immediately defiled and have to be restarted, rather than finding out. Also, those zombies should be resting in the ground and not standing around confusedly in the rock dimension.
Mm-hmm. So
he needs to figure out a ritual to get their attention and get them out of the ring and back in the dirt.
Well, the problem with that is that they're statues right now. They're not animate. They're just kind of stuck in every sense.
Maybe rope? Can you lasso them?
I will say without a roll that, hey, if you have a rope made of organic material, that's just going to turn into a non-flexible rock the second you throw it in there.
You don't have any polymer?
As much as you would prefer to be friendly with any given spirit, this seems like more the situation where provocation is the answer rather than consolation. They need something to motivate them to not be in the ring. And the idea is that right now they're kind of entombed inside of the statues, and that is protecting them.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of probably rip off... Well, alright, so... Gotta make some effigies. Gotta just quickly make some, more lightweight, regular effigies to have out here on the sidelines. Probably enlist the help of the work crew to get that done in parallel. Just for each zombie statue that is in there right now, have an appropriate, small wicker man.
Yeah. That is... I don't think the quality is going to necessarily matter enough, so I don't know if it needs a roll unless you want from white experience points from it, so... This is just you can do this and it will function for your plan.
Yeah, we'll just kind of let it go. So, want to get a bunch of wicker people arranged and set up for burial, and then after all of those are appropriately in position, and I suppose we'll have probably recruited Milan into this plan and explained it before it's initiated in character.
Oh yeah, Milan's in.
We're just going to throw a bunch of rocks at the statues and smash them up. So like, we're going to make this more polite than just destroying these zombies by like releasing them into sunlight. We wait for nightfall. Then throw a bunch of rocks in to smash up the statues, and there will be a moment where the ghosts are released and free-floating and confused, and then we direct them to the effigies, and then bury the effigies.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm in.
I would classify that as charisma occult. And you can add your undead specialty and a 2-die stunt for the elaborateness of the plan.
All right, so there's 10 base. I'll throw the full excellency in there to support. Give it. That is
Whoops.
one misplaced character. Give it.
15.
7.
7. Yeah,
And-
okay. So you get the whole crew of, acolytes in training, plus Milan, plus yourself, probably plus Yang, just given the opportunity to, pot shots at things. Just everybody lined up once the sun goes down to start hurling rocks, firing arrows, throwing knives, anything that is not overly missed if it gets lost in the amethyst zone.
And then, after
and then
the
after
the barrage and the breaking, just allow a moment for the dust to settle, and then Repose just make a very loud and officious announcement just along the lines of, "Hey, what are you doing out here? Get off of that! Get off my lawn! You scoot!
So-
you get back where you belong!" Just chastising these stray ghosts. You punk kids!
There's a brief moment where, in the spiritual vision of Repose and Milan, can see the emaciated lower souls of these zombies just kind of like, what? Huh? What? Huh? As though they had not experienced the passage of time since being frozen, just shocked into just, what the hell just happened? Where'd my body go? Why am I a ghost? Where am I? What's going on? Why is everything rocks? And then they turn around and they see these extremely juicy, delicious-looking fonts of essence yelling and hooting and hollering at them. And those look like easily accessible, roughly the same size and shape as bodies things. Yeah, let's get in those and go eat them. Oh, wait, fuck, this is Wicker. Oh, no. And the crew is stuck in front of a bunch
The
of...
effigies were probably painted with like fresh animal blood or something to put the scent on them.
Yeah. And the crew finds themselves standing in front of 4 effigies that are just kind of wiggling angrily.
And then funeral pyre.
Yep,
Cremation.
Interesting. Did I see the souls amethysticize when they were in?
They were unaffected at all.
Interesting.
How they sleep.
So the immaterial could move through there.
It's a hypothesis.
That. Do I see any ghosts?
Nope.
Or hear any? This is weird, because if the beings that were in there were dead, what happened to them?
It's a great question, Mega Man.
And exactly the sort of question that would keep even the most brash of the long departed from simply walking in of their own volition to see for themselves, without some assurance of their safety.
What I can say would be on Milan's mind is the animals that died out here, if they had lower souls, they might have just disintegrated after 100-odd years of not having stimulation. They probably just returned to the essence around them. If there's people ghosts in there of the people who got blasted, you wouldn't be able to see them from this far out because you can barely see the military fortress from this side of the amethyst barrier.
Probably don't want to hoot and holler to attract some ghosts.
I suppose as well, then off of the data from this ritual, then, seeing how the ghosts seem to interact with their petrified bodies. Seems like the working hypothesis to go with the baseline to think about is this probably behaves a lot like mummification.
Oh yeah, good point. Because if they had come out like, wait, what happened? They might have been put into stasis in there. This is weird.
Very weird.
First stage weaponry does weird shit I wouldn't imagine.
Why did you do this?
Who made this and why? Smash cut to a solar going, I don't know. Seemed funny at the time.
The amethyst laser was supposed to help mankind, not destroy it.
Yeah, and yeah, somebody asked, is there a god of the redoubt? Probably. What happened to them? I don't know.
Thousands of years ago, Twilight finishes their work on creating this crystallization beam. Just, it works! What's it for? It works!
I've done it!
At last!
But why? They said I couldn't, but I did!
5 minutes later, what is this thing? Who made it? You, sir. What?
Or just the quiet mumbled correction from some first age dragon-blooded high sergeant. I said you shouldn't.
But yeah.
I said I saw no use for such a thing, and now here we are. With no use for such a thing. How strange.
I suppose you're right. Oh well, let's just put that one in the closet.
Yeah, just leave it in a box for later, just in case.
There might be something, you never know. Anyway, this is about,
I'll just make sure that the dangerous parts are painted bright colors to draw attention to them, so people will know to avoid them, as is common in this age. No one will misinterpret this in future eras.
Giant red buttons with arrows pointing to it, so you know that you shouldn't touch it. Because arrows are pointy and bad. But, yeah, no, just out of character. This is... Come back to this plot later once I have finished. Like, there's going to be a considerable amount of content in the Redoubt once you are able to... Once you have the verb to get in Amethyst.
We are standing at the edge of the DLC zone looking in, speculating.
Why are you closed?
Yes.
It's definitely a moment.
But yeah, after the evening, the crew return. Well, the hearth and the helpers that went out returned to the boat. Obsidian notes that none of them are turned into horrible gems or whack-ass crystal prisons or pursued by hungry ghosts. A couple of them are, you know, holding some gems that don't look haunted. They're not murdering anybody and they're not turning anybody into rocks. And you would be aware of the fact that you could harvest the amethyst out here without getting cursed yourself, so yeah. Everybody gets back aboard. And boat shoves off. So, upon leaving the Lesser Rock River, the river very dramatically changes. You are now in the river Yenaze. This is a gigantic river. This is one of those rivers that is about as wide as the English Channel. Like, horizon to horizon, you can kind of see the shore on either side if you're in the middle of the river. It's you have to, like, actually strain your eyes to see it, though. It is almost water from every horizon. It is immense. It is the largest river in creation. It is, to the Immaculates, a sacred place to Janad, the Immaculate Dragon of Water. Even though this is the east and the domain of the wood dragon Sextus Gillis, this is just... You don't have a body of water this big and this long without having it be considered sacred to the damp dragon. it is uncommon, but not unheard of for Obsidian to go out onto the Yanaze and go out on the settlement. Like, again, as I mentioned long ago when I first mentioned this map, there's a lot of settlements out here that I don't actually have painted. I have the big top level stuff because this is a huge outscaled map. So there's a lot of settlements along this river and minor countries and other things like that that Obsidian has probably done trade with. But it's still a hell of a thing every time you go into the river and just take in the sheer size of it. And
It's a lot of water.
so, just a first question of is there any interactions or questions or comments to make during the boat ride before the first kind of landmark off to the side? Well, second, I suppose, landmark off to the side to discuss.
Milan was just gonna look through some of the papers that Old Man gave him.
Okay.
If there was anything story relevant to go over in there.
So it was Old Man's history and, like, just occult notes, right?
It's a whole lot of stuff in there. Like, there's entire sections of it that are just local history and personal accounts of things that happened a long time ago, or relatively in the grand scheme of like past 100 years recently, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It is the physical example of Old Man's specialty and lore that I grabbed.
Yeah, basically, when you have access to these books, you can use Old Man's The Journey of Wandering Lee specialty for lore. Immediate plot relevant time, I would say there's a fuck ton of books to dig through, so you're not entirely sure what you would dig up. Let's see if you get anything particularly notable. You do get a small bit of information, and let me pick what out of the notes you do find.
There's a recipe for a chicken a la Sujan.
There's not a single recipe on here.
Nope.
Not a single bit of food.
Old
Is this
Man
how to
does not
make
eat.
chili verde?
Old Man started the, don't eat things that are enjoyable thing a very long time ago. That was one of the very first things he did.
Mm-hmm.
What's scrum?
How dare you? Here in my
You said
house,
enjoyable.
not my house.
So one thing that you find out is that one of the occult bits of the Hundred Kingdoms region that you have been in that hasn't been overtly talked about yet, beyond a brief mention, is the cliffside. The cliffside was not a naturally occurring break, and it was not one that seemed... It is old enough that it was likely Shogunate period or before, and it was dramatic enough to have seriously rearranged the ley line architecture of the entire... Like, it would have been not apocalyptic when it happened, but if you were a sorcerer at the time, those 1,000-odd years ago, you would have had to redraw every map you ever had. This was something snapped the entire valley up and down. What it was, no one knows to this day, and why that was, no one knows. But one side effect of that is that a lot of the local gods of the underground and a lot of the local gods of underground rivers, geysers, things like that, are much closer to the surface and have had much more interaction with the history and peoples of the area than would otherwise normally be the case. One of the things that you can say is that the rivers that come through the Bronze Axe's former territory, the Trident River Valley, and the Steel Terran Bureaucrats River, are both underground well springs that were ripped up to the surface by the cliff face.
Interesting lore facts.
One side effect of that, you would think, just as a actual practical bit of information out of that, is those spirits and gods are not usually the sorts of courts that are easily accessible. You have to usually go well out of your way to find and talk to them. The fact that there's easy representatives up by the ground might prove useful if you want to use the elemental courts as an advantage, because that's not usually something you get access to.
And that would also explain why the rivers in that area seem to be more, I don't want to say like amenable, but more freely and open with their worshippers.
Yes.
What we noticed.
It makes a lot of sense that there are multiple cults around the divinities of the rivers when the gods and elementals directly involved with them are much more approachable than usual.
Because suddenly, oh, we've got worshippers now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll do stuff for them. They give us
Well,
worship.
that's what humans are for.
Yeah. Most of the local grumbling about the Immaculates in Grey Falls is relating to those river gods. So, to the south, along the river, as you go down...
Something
live in
I
a
want to
society.
mention
Oh, sure,
is
go
that
right ahead.
leading up to, like, as soon as the decision for Long Voyage was decided, and as like while on the voyage, Obsidian would have been refreshing himself with the river maps, the currents, all that kind of stuff. And this is my justification for Obsidian getting Sail 4 and 4 Sail Charms.
All right. Yeah, Obsidian is just kind of getting his sea legs, river legs under him a lot more confidently than usual, with the idea of, like, okay, let's do this.
Hey, it's been a while since I've been out of the rivers and actually on the open. Is that an ocean or lake?
That is the inland sea. It goes out to the ocean to the west when you go far enough.
I've dealt with the rivers for years. I've not been on the sea in a good while.
Mm-hmm. So, to the south is the Venean Shogunate. This was a bit of territory in the 3rd edition book that I only remember being kind of boring and bad and tied to one of the developer's personal pet characters, so I threw it all out and made up all my own stuff. So, the Venean Shogunate is another claimant to, we are totally the legitimate extension of the Shogunate. Don't mind Look-Shy, don't mind the Scarlet Empire, don't mind any number of people in the 100 Kingdoms. Don't mind a couple of people in Port Kalen or Sijan. We totally are the ones that have a direct blood lineage tie back to the last Shogun. Never mind, that's not how it usually works. Shut up. In practice, the Venean Shogunate has almost nothing to do with the actual Shogunate era anymore. It is far enough away from the heartlands of the Shogunate in terms of its historical boundaries, and also the political nature of Look-Shy and the realm, that the Shogunate has mostly devolved into just the title for their ruler. It has more or less just become a hereditary monarchy at this point that has had its rulers change hands a couple of times, and the most notable thing about it, beyond it just being the kind of, we are totally the legitimate Shogunate, and the always entertaining, awkward diplomatic talks between Look-Shy and the Veneans whenever the Councils of Rivers have their meeting, is that they are relatively close in the scheme of things to the southeastern jungles, which is where a lot of lizard men live, and a lot of other beast folk, who are generally... they can be approachable. They can be very nice. They can be amenable. There are a lot of them that live in the Vineyard Shogunate as just accepted citizens. There's also the ones out here that are less so.
Moon-aligned? Moon-aligned.
Moon-aligned. Moon-oriented and or it's complicated. They're weird and sometimes they just seem to be born as dinosaurs and then suddenly become people, and it is extremely strange, and anytime we try to make diplomatic contact with them, it usually ends with heads being sent back in boxes. And we don't know much about them, and it seems that they want to keep it that way. So, here there be weird dinosaur people. We don't know much more than that. And otherwise, there are others that are, members of the Shogunate, and also don't know much more about their, relatives out in the jungle, because they are also not spared the fuck off. So
Interesting stuff. Incidentally, I have a travel thing that I would like to offer up as some dice to attempt. So I have my idea for my follow-up interaction to put before, let's say, it doesn't need to go into a full back-and-forth scene of dialogue, but Repose will go and meet him again and get more to a point now that he has had his exchange of first impressions with this man. Mm-hmm. And Repose will just very bluntly and upfrontly offer Lasay assistance in killing himself if he would rather die than face whatever's waiting for him on the Isle. If he turns this down, he must do so with the acceptance that he has not yet given up the chance to fight for something.
He wouldn't take that offer.
In the time from here to there. Yeah, you would expect that he would turn down the offer.
There is an actual period of consideration, longer than you would expect, but there is a mix of I don't want to die, cowardly Waluigi energy, and no, I will get my way out of this situation.
Tapping back into some energy that Repose has not had a chance to express since basically Oak of, okay, person on the verge of death, are you done yet? Do you want revenge? There are ways to drag yourself back from the brink and regain life that you thought you had lost.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, when it came down to things, you did not run. You showed up. You may have done poorly because you were not in good practice. But you did not submit to fear and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
You have some number of days to prepare for whatever is waiting for you down there. Use them wisely. Just want to try to instill in him a sense of it's not over yet.
Mm-hmm.
For the time being, you are still a son of the dragons. You are better than this. Just do some manip presence upon him.
Okay, go ahead and put a 1 die stunt on that.
And lean in with the 2 bonus successes from Excellency. Yeah! Yeah, get mad! Get mad!
He's getting mad. There is some scheming going on behind those eyes. There's some pretty open thinking and scheming and planning and what do I really want to do with myself here, and you have lit a fire in him of what origin and what direction you are unsure, but you have sparked something.
You are not just going to lay here and die.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if he uses that to be garbage, then Repose will have his personal reason to hate this man and join in on the murder crew. But if not, he has instead, in fact, saved this man's life.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll collect on that ruthlessly.
Either way, Repose wins.
At his strategery.
So, during this trip, I don't know if just quite yet, but Milan did want to. I did want to do with a scene between Milan and Obsidian.
All right, we can do that, and then we can go into the next thing that I had planned, because it's not going to just entirely be sightseeing.
So,
You catch Obsidian eating a piece of fruit.
So, after dinner one night on the river, Milan comes to Obsidian's cabin with some drinks.
So you would look up from whatever chart he is peering over at the time, and greet Lon, gesture to a chair.
Hey, you got a moment to talk?
Always do.
Hey, so I want to apologize because I know you don't want to go out to the realm. It seemed like you had some sort of history with that, and I didn't want to pry but Milan takes a drink of the alcohol.
Obsidian is holding the glass at this point, not drinking. He is waiting to see where this conversation is going.
After an awkward silence of just, wow, Milan's still drinking. That's an awful lot of alcohol you're consuming in one gulp.
You're not a wood aspect. Be careful.
Is there anything I can do to help you? Are there people out there after you? Is someone do something? I don't want to put you in danger or make you uncomfortable.
Obsidian looks at his glass, rubs the back of his neck. I won't be leaving this boat when we get there unless absolutely necessary. And in the event that you and my brothers can't, I have hit such an impasse that you absolutely need me, you can send word for me. You have ways of doing that. When you are on that island, you've never seen me before. You don't talk about me. You don't even mention it in passing.
Milan's gonna just look down at his drink, kind of swirl it a bit. Looks up at Obsidian. Okay. We don't know you.
Correct.
Just that look of complete trust of, I believe you.
Do you want to read intentions on this?
Yeah, I'll make read intentions, but it'll just be like a passive. I'm not going to spend any
No digging into it.
yeah, no digging, just to see if I pick up on anything.
Oh, I am in the wrong window.
That
so
is a yes.
Yeah, that is because also I'm gonna say that my guile is getting a negative to this due to my connection or my tie to Venif itself. The main thing, because you're not prying too hard into it, that you're getting is Obsidian is probably doing this as much for himself as for you and the Brotherhood as well.
Mhm.
If Obsidian went on that island, bad things would happen.
Milan gets the impression that a lot of what Obsidian's done, he has done to protect us, like in combat and stuff. He has told me this to protect us. Because if we say, oh yeah, we know this person, it could put us, not just Obsidian, it could put us in danger. So Milan is going to be fully on board of no one will know of you.
And with that, Obsidian would down his entire class.
Blast the whole thing in one go.
And I think just the rest of that night, Milan and Obsidian just kind of chat and hang out. Just like have a moment to actually just talk.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly trade and business stuff, boats, nothing that can be done in a
It was actually perfect. Yeah. So Obsidian would tell Vanif about like a bunch of various business deals that he's done in the past in the area with like gesturing at the map like, oh, like yeah, we had a trip to Nexus once. It was
Those people suck.
just like it was a rough time, and this would go on, and this actually justifies the other purchase that I made of Obsidian finally getting Bureaucracy 3.
Nice. And during this, you're going to find out Milan knows a lot more of like trade routes and supply lines and stuff than he seems like he should know. Like he knows where some local goods are produced that you would only really know if you'd been there. Just like Milan knows more about trade in the area than a top level bureaucrat should probably know.
Interesting.
Sorry, this is a thing I've not actually shared with you, Darren.
Hmm?
I'll send you the information of what I'm alluding to later.
No, that's okay. So, let's see here. There is one thing I do want to do, but there seems to have been a momentary hiccup, so I'm going to give it a moment before going into the next thing, if that's all right. Yep. All right. There we go. So,
Okay, there we go.
all right. Welcome back.
I cannot believe I did not fuck that up.
Nice.
Nice.
The fans are turning and the heat sink's on.
Nice.
Everything.
You'll love the computer good.
All right, so the evening into the night after that conversation between Obsidian Shield and Vanif Milan, roughly, let's see, where on the calendar would this be? This is about, double checking the calendar, combined with the trip. You're in about halfway to, you're getting close to the full moon of descending water at this point. It has been... Actually, you're a little bit past the full moon. You're about a little over halfway through the next month at this point. So, it has been a couple of weeks on the water, and it has been largely uneventful. There's been, the pointing out of the ports that the crew has been to. There's been gambling, there's been fishing, there's been keeping an eye on the prisoner, there's been making sure old man doesn't get up to anything too weird. There's been chatting here and there with
failing to.
Onyx. Yeah, and failing. There's been chatting with Onyx, but Onyx is just kind of really enjoying itself, getting to sail out on the open river for the first time since awakening, and just really enjoying the sights and the feelings and all of the other things. And then, the night after the conversation, there's a break in that routine. Let's just switch over. First question I want to know is who would be on the deck at night? Who
Yep.
would be on night watch?
I would be on night watch.
Yeah, Repose would be out there.
Alright.
I'm actually gonna say Milan's up and thinking. So
I'm saying we'd probably be in the captain's quarters, which is generally the room
Right here.
below. Yeah, right below the wheel.
Yeah, so
So I'd be practically on the deck.
yeah, I will just put you like on the capstan. I'm gonna presume Old Man is in the crow's nest as just a default.
Well, I've got a question to ask for you. Is this a whaling vessel?
No. Why?
Then it doesn't have a fucking crow's nest. It's got a topsail.
Look, okay, there are multiple people.
Hey,
in this
motherfucker.
show. There are multiple
I know
people
a
in this
dude who
show
is
call.
who would get extremely mad if I called that a crow's nest, and I have internalized it.
Someone with
Okay.
a lot of survival dice introduced the existence of a river whale.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah! Hell yeah! Hell yeah!
I mean, there's like there's dinosaurs.
See, there's already river dolphins
Freshwater
that exist,
whale.
but now this is gigantic, and there's super large.
It's a very
Yeah,
big
have,
river. It has
a lot
very
of dice.
big animals.
I don't remember the name of the damn dinosaur, but there's a picture of it in the core. It's one of the giant prehistoric mosasaurs, I think. Mosasaurs are a thing, and they live in the rivers out here.
yeah, but those aren't whales.
We don't whale anyway, so like
Why not?
So yeah, but now, as I was saying, there are multiple people in this call that know way more about boats than I do. Okay, so Milan mentioned would be up and about. So would Yang be asleep watching the prisoner or on the top deck?
I've been watching Zenith.
Okay, so he's below deck right now. So let me just.
how many times have you reminded him that you're going to kill him so good?
It's a fun game we play at this point.
Yeah, honestly, the fear reaction has gone out of Lysaea at this point. Every time Yang just starts messing with him, and it's just kind of like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, once in a while he's come in there and remind him of a crime he's done.
It is draining the anxiety response, and it's just more turning into like, really, you're still going. It's been weeks.
Maybe you should have done less crimes. They wouldn't have so many.
He's from Grudge House. This is what he does.
This is what we do.
Yeah, you have like the entire litany memorized at this point. Everybody top deck roll me perception awareness, and Yang roll me perception awareness -3.
Do I have to?
Yes, this is
Fuck.
mandatory.
So, what are you asking to roll? I was.
Perception awareness.
Well, actually, I'm in the captain's quarters, so I'm not on the deck.
And you're rolling at -3, and it's mandatory.
Roll me a
Piss.
7 real quick. I'm trying to join the thing.
Sure.
By the way, I bled on my heatsink.
What?
that you've infused it.
Okay, Yang got
Like
2.
before or after?
While I was putting it in because it was very sharp.
Ah.
I cleaned it. It's fine.
Now it hungers.
Now
So
you-
you
Now
really,
it's got taste.
you can just give me the -3 at this point. Yeah.
It's not a botch.
It's not a botch.
Okay, so that is everybody. Okay, so Yang. Surprisingly, okay, Yang rolled pretty alright despite the penalty. So Yang is the first person to notice something odd. Yang is kind of just leaning against the hull of the boat at this point, and briefly wonders, oh, that's something I'm hearing outside. Wait a second. On the other side of this wood is water. And you're hearing kind of like a bubbling, lurching, sloshing of water noise, as though something large and displacing of a lot of water is rising up past the hole that you are sitting next to.
That's weird. I'm gonna use the codec to be like, hey, is there a whale next to us? We're in a river, right?
This is right about the same time. Angler notices a bunch of bubbles coming up out of the water around here and a lot of rippling. And shortly after that, Repose does as well. Everyone else does not notice in time. Yang, you have enough time to get up on the top deck before this, whatever this is, breaches the surface of the water if you want to be going.
Yeah, I'm gonna threaten Sinus one more time and just kind of skulk upstairs.
All right.
Stay there or I'll kill you. Also, don't get eaten.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
I'll take enough times to throw off my robe and start to like raise a cry.
All right, so what emerges from the water is there have been many strange things that you and the group have seen. This is up there with among the strangest ones in a while. What emerges is what appears to be a river skiff, just a very small pole-driven boat from the bottom of the riverbed, covered in barnacles and just moss and lichen and plant matter, and on top of it appear to be bones. A lot of bones. And then the bones begin to move, and all of a sudden the bones begin to pull themselves up. And let me just one moment. Let me just arrange this correctly so when I reveal the layer, it's not completely...
Repose, is this you? Are you the one who attracts this?
Boop.
Skeletons.
Skeleton warriors.
Skeleton
There's
man. It's half
a...
skeleton and half skeleton.
There is a half dozen skeletons in the boat being led by a skeleton wreathed in purple and, or not purple, in teal blue flames that turns and just kind of rattles and hoots at the deck. Beware, mortals! Those who have come from beyond the grave have come to this is actually an in-character trailing off for a moment. Like, literally shoving the jawbone back in place. Look, just lay down your valuables and let's have a chat. And the skeletons all leap up onto the side deck.
The skeletons all leap into close proximity of the Janissary.
And
All right, if they really
Repose
want to
does
do
not
this.
even actually have to read intentions. Repose, for the first time, possibly ever, immediately recognizes instant terror and regret on the face of the skeletons. Oh,
fuck!
This is awkward. Hello, hey,
Do I know these bones?
roll me intelligence.
Have I heard of these bones?
Hey, Darren.
What?
What would I roll to know if I knew these bones?
About skeleton
Intelligence,
pirates?
bureaucracy, or lore?
Well, I did just get
You
that
know what?
bureaucracy
Sure,
down.
why not? Do I also get a chance on the intelligence bureaucracy
Yes.
bit? Okay.
Yes.
I am not going to bother to try to know who these bones are.
Oh, these.
Nope. Botch.
Watch. All right.
Whoops. That's a 1.
Okay, let's go from most
Did I-
informative to most entertaining.
Did I kill these guys? Are these pirates that tried to rob me once?
Repose, you recognize them not specifically, but it is, first of all, abundantly clear that they recognize you, and not just you, they recognize the hearth. And second of all, their reaction of terror seems to be less of murderous intent and more, oh god, hang on, wait, hang on, let us talk. Oh no, 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 please, please, please. Don't kill us first. We have a good reason. Milan immediately recognizes this as a not uncommon phenomenon on the river. You don't know these particular ones by name. You can guess that this is a pirate crew that drowned and found their way back to creation, and there is a common form of undead piracy where instead of stealing valuables, because some undead do that, some undead continue to pillage and terrorize and murder and stuff. From the way that these are acting and their immediate pivot from big, scary, spooky skeletons trying to spook your guts off into immediately backpedaling when they see repose, this is likely the second kind of undead pirate, which is more an extortion racket of we will come spook you and
Oh
we will
no.
keep this river we will keep this river clean of actual murderous, dangerous pirates. And in exchange, you throw things overboard for the dead who have died on this river. Basically, an ancestor cult that works via extortion method rather than coercion.
Oh yes, the
Obsidian is aware of sometimes there are undead that don't actually bother killing anybody. They just kind of want you to throw shit overboard and they'll leave you alone. Angler is convinced that these are working with the Death Lords.
So we're gonna kill him again, right?
Repose is going to throw an entire obol past the bone captain into the river, allow for like the sound of it striking the water to completely echo out and vanish, and then just say good evening.
Good evening to you as well, brother. I'm afraid I haven't actually caught your name, but let me tell you, you're
go over to Angler, hand on the shoulder.
Angler is starting to rev up.
Yeah, Angler is just like rolling his shoulders.
Let Brother
Get a
Repose
good exercise. What? Oh, okay.
let Brother Repose take care of this.
But they're obviously working with the devils.
Okay, I need to talk to you about commerce.
What does commerce have to do with them?
Angler is just having like Dunning-Kruger effect, occult knowledge. But they're skeletons. One of them's on fire. That's gotta be evil, right?
There's a skeleton on fire on the deck. I don't know much about ships, which is weird because water aspect, but I know fire and ships don't mix. We should be destroying them.
Look, if we destroy them, that's going to cause more problems, not for us, but for other people down the road.
But you stop all moving. You move again, I will crush your bones to dust.
Yeah. They all just kind of were giving space to repose, but immediately stop when they notice that they've been noticed.
Okay, let me explain to you the purpose of an extortion racket.
I know what the...
Oh man, is that... Hang on. Okay, no, I didn't set your... Okay, for a brief moment I looked at the stream, and the skeleton on the far right's name is not displaying, and I briefly wondered if it was because the name's too damn long, but no, I had the setting off wrong.
Are you saying we need to get extorted by these skeletons to keep going? Why can't we just crush their bones into dust?
Because they're there to attack pirates who will actually murder and steal, and not just shake and rattle their bones until you throw like a small gem overboard.
In the meantime, Silvertongue Urian, one of the skeletons, and like some of the names are kind of floating back to repose at this point, just through the grapevine of undead gossip.
The ghost
Kind of sidles up to repose, talking over the incredibly flustered, I only know how to scare people, I don't know how to deal with being scared, boss. Is just like, okay, look, we really weren't expecting to be jumping a hearth here. So let's start this off on another less possibly getting us all murdered and kicked back downstairs foot.
So
Hi!
bullies.
Well, yes, if you have to put it that way, but we like to view it as bullies that ensure that everybody doesn't actually get murdered. After all, more people being dead means more competition for us, more people who are going to be fighting each other in the underworld, more general unpleasantness, escalation of the pirate arms race, that sort of thing. Like, look, there's enough dead people downstairs already. We don't want more people down there. So what we do is we just show up on new boats that we don't recognize, and we introduce them to how things work in this neck of the river. And if they don't play ball, then we rough them up a little, we scare them, we put some fear into them, and then we just go back down to the bottom of the river and we wait. And if we notice anybody trying to start stuff on top of the river, we go up and we actually rough them up a little more.
It's at this point that Obsidian would definitely have come out of the captain's quarters.
There are a half dozen skeletons and one in unnatural flame color. Just the best posture description you can get for the skeletons is awkward, ashamed, and afraid, rather than actively hostile.
Well, if you have any other business that would see you here this evening, you all know the old law. Disarm and sit as guests.
They all kind of look at each other and drop their rusty swords, other bones. One of them looks like they have a mace made of the skull and femur of another skeleton entirely, and then just kind of plop
Does that
down.
one talk?
Hmm?
Does that one talk? Old man
Does
points
the
at
mace
skull
talk?
and- Mace. Yeah.
Are we mistaken the rider for the steed? Is the mace the pirate and the rest of the body is the decoy?
So, yeah, no one's ever actually called me on that one before, the mace says.
I'm sure you might have been called Rattles at least once.
I-
No.
For the chat, I think if I had rolled better on my roll, yes, Obsidian would have encountered these bones before.
Yeah, no, this was a Obsidian would absolutely have directly dealt with these people if you rolled better situation. You have heard of them, but you have not directly been jumped by them yet.
You had just read the manga.
Milan continues to explain, no, not every skeleton is working for the Tyrant or the Weaver.
At this
So
point,
repose. I'm going
Angler
to-
has just devolved into pawn chatter.
But I have another burning question for all these your skeletons that are
Walking
graced the deck.
bones.
You do realize your raft is floating away, right?
What? And Siko turns over. Oh! Damn it! What the...
Well, someone
Shen!
can go get it.
Jen, get the boat! Just grabs the pole, and just starts paddling madly to get back up to the side of the boat. You stay on that for now. We'll take turns if this takes a while.
Just throw a rope.
You think we have a rope? You think a rope lasts at the bottom of a river for 40 years?
Well, I mean, it depends on how well made the rope is, isn't it?
Do we look like we were rich?
Honestly, looking at the one that's on fire, I mean, that seems
The
like a
one that
pretty
is on
good
fire
sword.
is the one saying that, yes.
Yeah. I mean, you do.
He looks down at his own flames. Look, the fire doesn't actually come with any sort of economic value.
So you've never tried to.
All right. Again, Siko is very clearly is the leader because is the spookiest and now is dealing with mortals that are not afraid and has no idea how to respond. One of the other skeletons kind of sidles up to Obsidian, just like, so, you're the captain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, so, yeah, official apologies on behalf of the crew. This rather awkward situation. Ordinarily, this would have been a one and done. We were also not suicidal enough to deal with, not just Dragon Bloods, but, y'all got a reputation, you know that?
Go on.
I mean, it ain't every day that a bunch of Dragon Bloods running around go kick over the plains of, certain large ineffable figures downstairs, loud enough to be heard downriver, and how angry they are. Yeah. It actually kind of looks around like, what am I afraid of? We're topside. They don't have spies around here, no? Okay, so yeah.
They probably do.
At one point, Obsidian would look over the skeleton's shoulder at Repose and like kind of gesture at him like, hey, we're famous downstairs.
Pleasant vibrations.
So
Oh wait, hold up. That's Repose? That's the one they named Repose.
Yeah.
Oh man, are you on a lot of shit lists, buddy?
Louder, pleasant vibrations. Just earth purring. Just yeah.
Yeah, no, that's about the response I expected. But yeah, no, you're from that family the Weaver hates, right? The Vigil, some Vigil up northwise.
Yep, just quiet nodding.
Yeah, whatever you've been doing up there, he ain't happy. Like, he really ain't happy. we're not exactly like ear to the ground in terms of the gossip up there. I mean, we live at the bottom of a river and we send things downstairs and we get some messages every once in a while. But you are certainly the local gossip recently. Seems that whatever you're doing is certainly taking a shit in his bowl of rice. What are you doing? If you don't mind my asking.
Would again look past at Rose like I don't really have an answer for that one.
Just shrug, voyaging.
I see.
You mean like now or in general?
I mean, I was asking in general, but I know an answer that reads as, I will rip off your skull if you keep prying when I hear one, so I'm gonna leave it right there. You know, these bodies are a little valuable. It's kind of our way of staying up here. And while this conversation is going on, one of the other skeletons wanders over to Yang, kind of looks at him.
Yeah?
Do I know you?
Have I killed you?
How old are you?
20.
Okay, no, you didn't kill me. You look a lot. You look real familiar, though. Look
Do
a
you,
lot
remember
like.
do you remember who killed you?
Somebody who looked a lot like you.
Do you want me to kill them when I see them?
No, I was just more curious if I was meeting the person that killed me a second time. All of you Dragon Bloods don't actually look old until you're like 900 years old or something. I don't know.
Yeah, some people probably see that as a perk. I don't really care.
Well, one day you're gonna end up looking like me, and you're probably gonna be wishing for your old looks back. I'll tell you that.
Well, so you'd say you don't have a bone to pick with me then, huh?
There's just an unreadable, like, a blank expression on the skull's face as the jaw slowly drops. One of the sides of the jaw unhinges and then pops back into place. You know, it's been a long time since I heard somebody make that pun.
I mean, it's new to me. You are like basically a grandpa to me, so it's probably the first time you've had this experience.
Let me tell you, this is the first conversation I've had with somebody with a pulse since I died. That didn't involve me trying to scare them so hard they jumped overboard.
You should be nicer.
Like,
you don't have to be assholes to everybody. You just have to be assholes to the people that deserve it. You know, like, what if you were just the friendly? Like, what if you just like partied all day on this river?
I mean,
people would probably like throw more shit at you, right? They'd be like, you throw them party favors into the river instead of scare them.
Yeah, you should be party boat.
And so Yang reinvented ancestor worship.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Angler kind of perked up for a second at the say of scaring people who meet it. Would you all like to do something fun?
All of the skeletons kind of turn their heads at once towards Angler, including a couple that have to turn it like over their shoulders like an owl. And Graham over here is like, I don't mean anything against you personally, but the way you say that makes me deeply afraid of your sense of fun.
We're transporting a criminal below decks who deserves everything that's coming to him. And frankly, I think a bunch of skeletons coming downstairs to spook him is everything he deserves and more.
They kind of look at the rest of the hearth as like,
Yeah, that'd be funny.
Probably worth a laugh.
Oh, I gotta see this.
You're the strangest bunch of well, I can't call you mortals, Siko says. Siko. You're the
Technically the only
strangest.
mortal here.
Wait, you're a. Never mind.
Yeah, craziest thing we know.
Old man.
If I can help it, I won't
okay,
be.
how about this? Do you guys have any like drums or something? Just go do a musical number at this asshole downstairs, and I'll pay you.
You see, the idea of scaring people is because most people don't have the reaction to a bunch of skeletons that you do. We go up on deck, even if we tried to be friendly, they'd all immediately start screaming and trying to knock our heads off. This is oddly refreshing, frankly.
Yeah, just make as many bone puns to him as you can. Just really make it insult, just really terrible for him.
And we're going to come down in about a minute and spook you until you leave, and then that'll be fine.
Oh, wait, so we get to be. Oh, wait, hang on. Oh, yeah, you get to play the hero against this guy. And we all go run out and scream and just, ham it up for you.
Yes, that'd be lovely. Thank you.
They all kind of look at each other like, this is not what we were expecting to do with our evening, but are we opposed?
There's no words put to it, but it is all in the posture of repose, kind of standing up and straightening up and getting ready to, well, a scam exorcism is still an exorcism, and there are proper ways it should be done. This is perhaps not the first time he has had to exorcise someone as part of a ruse.
Well, I mean, you did pay us an obol, so that does cover our operating costs downstairs for, most of the rest of the year. So I guess this is the least we can do, right? Yeah. All right, ladies and gents, let's go get him.
And, all right, so additionally, while he's still on the subject of payment of things, Repose is going to just quietly write out on a scroll just the recipes for a couple of embalming substances that are just, known and used in the family practice for preserving of bones. Mm-hmm. And then after having written it out, just dip the corner of the scroll into Siku's, ghost fire and allow it to be destroyed, and it will probably show up promptly in, whatever they're using as a crypt right now.
Yeah. So they are in a unique situation where Repose would know this. They're all using the Nemissary ability to ride their own bodies, which means that their fetters and their crypt is probably where their original boat sank, like either this boat or whatever boat it came from. It's likely that they were some sort of actual variety of river pirates before they died, and something went wrong and they got killed. And rather than continuing to be murderous, decided to be the racket that they are now. So they likely have their crypt just be at the bottom of the ocean, or the river, and then the underworld equivalent would be whatever local necropolis is nearby. The question of how they got back up here is... that would be a non-significant amount. That would be a somewhat significant amount of effort, but there's enough large Shadowlands around here that it's not also impossible. It's clear that if there were 7 ghosts out here who were able to get back to their own bodies without a Shadowland being directly next door, whatever community that they're supporting is probably pretty well established. And from the sounds of it, they're not actually big fans of any of the Death Lords either.
And that is why they are still dead today.
Yes.
And yeah, just kind of, I suppose, as a shenanigans way to social influence by way of craft. Let's just eat craft about. Yeah, all right. So like a 3. Let's put some willpower behind that and call it a 4 success quality, bone polish recipe. Just getting passed along free of charge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
Just
like
take care of yourself. You have a good time out there doing skeleton things.
You've been a real pleasure. You're a lot less, well, let me put it this way. To us, you are a lot less murderous than your reputation precedes you. And we appreciate that, really. No, a lot. Our lives flashed before our eyes. I can speak for the rest of us on that one.
You provide a good service up here, which more than can be said of some down below.
Oh, yeah, no, trust us. We are not exactly fans of some of the big players downstairs. Just because we didn't want to go into the cycle of reincarnation didn't mean we wanted to hitch our wagon to a bunch of supervillains.
Mood.
Well, I'll be sure to let the downstairs know. What? Like, you got a map or something that you can point to where roughly I should be sending, official regards and such? Obsidian would have maps in the captain's quarters that, like,
Well,
Repose.
yes.
Yeah. So, like, Repose would be able to point out where the Vigil's temple is.
Yeah,
so
Repose would have procedures for where
how to get there.
non-hostile ghosts can engage in pleasantries.
Yeah. So, like, they are given the proper ways to approach and the proper locations to approach to initiate contact with the dead side of the Vigil. And
How to speak softly and be grateful.
yes. And once the boat is, the riverboat is lashed to the side of the ship, Shen jumps aboard, and the skeletons all, one by one, head downstairs. Wrong token.
We should probably go notify the crew first.
There is a chorus of screaming.
It sets up the scene this way.
The Obsidian can hear every individual member of the crew screaming in order of the bunks. Like, Obsidian knows the order they sleep in, and, like, I just can track where the skeletons are in the hold by hearing each one starting to scream in unison.
They'll be
You might
fine.
wanna go- yeah, I know, but you might want to get down there before they start trying to smash the skeletons.
Oh, they're not going to.
Repose will pop
There's
down
a couple
to...
of muffled thunks under Angler's feet, and Angler recognizes that's the sound of a body hitting the floor rather than someone hitting a skeleton. That's probably somebody who just fell out of bed.
Or fainted, or both.
Repose will actually pop down to where his crew is settled in and just kind of give them the signal, no, wait, this is fine. Don't worry about
they
it.
had not begun to scream.
Obsidian waits like 10 seconds, then goes down.
Yeah, no, Repose's crew had already been grabbing the nearest blunt objects as the skeletons were jogging by before Repose gives the no, okay, hang on.
See when we go down, just reassure the crew. No, don't worry.
Just
No, it's for a
breath.
gag.
Deep breath.
There's a couple of
Hold
the crew
up.
members are like trying to stomp out the bits of ephemeral fire that Siko is leaving behind.
This is with the charm, instilling an emotion of calmness in them. It's fine. They're not exactly with us, but they're friendly. I don't know exactly. They apparently just live on the river looking for tribute.
They are. The fact that you are not smashing the skeletons is already reassuring to them. The fact that you are calmly trying to explain the situation, even if it doesn't stick in their heads, is like, okay.
Also,
Fucking dead people, but the boss is fine, so it's probably fine.
also uses whatever fire aspect dragon blood stuff to just zoop out the fire on the floor.
Yep. And
I'm sure that's something I can
a
do.
couple of seconds later, at the far end of the cargo hold, there is, like music to your ears, an absolute cacophonous scream that immediately turns into rapid-fire 4 or 5 different languages, but the ones that you recognize, and even the ones that you don't, are clearly different methods of begging for one's life. And
then we'll look at the crew and be like, and that's what they're doing.
That scene in The Mummy where the sleaze bag goes through every
It's going
religious
through all the
icon he
whole-
is carrying to see which one
all-
works.
all of the
Goodbye,
holy
Benny.
Yes, exactly that scene is the energy coming from the other side of the cargo hold.
Obsidian is just standing there in front of the crew, just smiling and nodding, like, yeah, this was a good idea. This was the correct move to do.
Looks to me like we got all the skeletons. Sorry.
But after a sufficient amount of screaming and pleading and skeletal cackling and hooting and, you know, clearly them doing the job that they were expecting to do and enjoying the absolute hell out of it, you know, it's about time to, like, go intervene before maybe Sinus Lysaea's like fight or flight instinct kicks into trying to, like, actually use charms or, like, trying to fight back. Because it is clear that he is a cornered rat at this point.
Yep, and Repose will, having commandeered his own squad here, actually go ahead and throw some charisma war and the little bit of excellency he can do on that front. I lost a focus of the window to whip. Yeah, start leading them in the appropriate prayer and just like has them organized in a line, making their way across the interior of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And, start saying the words. Start doing the moves.
Curse the name of the unconquered! And all of them, like, not even when you're getting to the really properly sanctified, important parts of the exorcism, they're just immediately turning up the ham and just, like, one of them literally falls apart into a component pile of bones that just starts rolling around on the ground in different directions. Scooped up by another skeleton, put back in order wrong. Like, the hands are the legs, and the legs are in the place of the arms. They're just kind of scampering back and forth out of them.
Welcome
Yeah,
to
no,
tonight's
very
episode
good.
of Scooby-Doo.
You know, they're very good. They're really doing it.
They're really doing it.
And Repose just kind of gently ushers them back up towards the top deck, at which point they all leap overboard into the boat, still hooting and hollering to give, you know, the impression that they're being let out on a rail on exorcism.
There's like one moment in this whole slow pursuit where he actually closes in close enough to the captain and just gives him a single light tap on the skull with the stick, and there's just a very hollow clonk noise. And just get out. Go. Shoo.
Oh, my weakness!
These
How did
skeletons
you
are living.
know?
They're living their best life, and I love them.
Curse you, Repose! Our enmity shall be as undying as these bones! And they just all pile into the river boat, and as they realize, okay, the act is done, they're all just, like, actually, like, kind of shift from, like, hooting and hollering into laughing uncontrollably as the boat begins to sink beneath the waves. We'll send our regards. Have a good trip wherever the hell you're going.
They're fun.
And they slip back beneath the waves.
I may eventually buy a tie with those skeletons.
I mean, if you want an intimacy right now, you can do intimacies free.
Yeah,
Skeleton warriors.
I'm getting an intimacy with Party Boat. Party Boat
If you
owns.
want them as, like, mechanical backup, that's a merit. But, like, just for having a feeling towards them, you can immediately just put that on your sheet.
I really just want to dive in the water and chase and like follow them, but nah.
Angler has spent this whole time wondering when the betrayal is coming. What's the
All
scheme?
right, so when do they stab us in the back?
I made them go under the boat so that if they tried to attack us, they wouldn't be able to get away. And then they actually did what I asked them. And what?
They actually did the goofy, stupid plan. What?
Angler's gonna be like up all night searching for some kind
Chasing
of
the
Staring at the
perimeter of
water.
the boat, listening for every single knock on the hull.
Did they leave one of them behind? Are there spies? Curses?
Is
there
that
plague on
skeleton
this
on
boat?
stick still here somewhere?
Take off one boot and just have it ready on hand just to chuck it at the first one that comes in range.
But yeah, the morning comes and there is no skeleton ambush, no unseen senses pinged, no wraiths or ghosts haunting the boat. It's just sometimes the undead aren't actually evil. Weird.
You mean they really weren't working for... They weren't? They were just what they said they were?
At the sign of Angler still being confused, Satan puts a hand on his shoulder. It's like I always say, everyone's redeemable.
Do you always say that?
He's
I
actually said
don't
that
think
a
I've
couple
heard
of
you say that.
times. Yeah, he actually has.
I don't think I've heard you say that.
Well, it is the thing I always say, so my sentence rings true.
I don't know if I can hold on a second. Looks around to the rest of his crew that's probably around deck. Is this true?
They just kind of nod.
Yeah, I kind of thought so. Okay. So they're really not going to chase us down. They're just, okay.
It's just party boat.
You know what? It's like with the bandits. I can learn. Okay.
Repose is able to parlay this whole incident into, a lecture about ghost stuff with his acolytes. And only after any of that is done, just briefly check in on Lysaea. Just how you doing?
So,
Catatonic.
You getting rattled in here?
Lysaea, the objective is not to rattle the bones.
I'm gonna get out and show them all. And why are there skeletons here? No.
Bones that move on their own.
It's not over yet. I still have a chance. I can fight my way back up from the pit and reclaim bones.
Bones! Bones!
Skeletons.
I was waiting for one of you to do it.
I mean, if you have my character sheet, let me hit save and look at what I have made my tie.
Bones that move on their own.
Well,
That happened.
that happened.
Happened.
I really think that every time we meet something after a certain point is just the complete opposite of what we're expecting to happen. What did
And that's
we
why,
do?
and Angler, that's why you need to keep an open mind.
I'm trying my hardest to keep an open mind, but... What?
I don't get it. Ooh.
I feel like we don't have a follow up to that.
No, I was just kind of letting it hang for a brief recharge moment. The
Skeleton.
that was the major event of the trip. I was waiting for the pacing on where to put it, and I decided to put it there. The rest of the actual trip is mostly uneventful unless there is player-initiated action. So I will go through the landmarks for notable things.
It's too
as
late
they-
to do it
Have
now.
a,
But a while ago, I did want to say that Angler wanted to talk to Venice's grandmother, and at a point that we would have been able to have it, but not tonight. We're gonna have to do it next week.
Yeah,
Would someone
I'm
like
probably
I
going to
have
wrap
a-
it once we approach the... Mhm.
Would someone like to learn how to fish? And I don't mean How you
What
fish.
is the?
I mean how to really fish.
What do you mean, really fish? You just fish.
No.
You just grab them out of the fucking sea.
Incorrect.
Okay, I'm interested.
I'm listening. I'm listening.
Old man holds out a hand, and then the fish literally just leaps into his hand.
Big fucking deal. So what?
Milan
The
holds
crew
out.
is looking at him like, wait, what? How?
Milan holds his hand out over the boat, and is just staring at his open palm.
Several of the crew members are also trying.
Angler's going to sneak overboard, the other side away from everybody else, swim underneath, find a fish, and huck it at Milan.
Okay, roll me dexterity stealth +2 to see if you can do this without getting noticed.
Now the question
Ow.
is, you
You
hucked
are
it at
the knight.
Milan. You hucked it at Milan, but that means that Milan's extremely not expecting it, and it's just gonna go flying directly into Milan's face or hand or something.
You
right?
throw like an entire sunfish at Milan and just bash him straight to the ground as a like 80-pound fish is on top of him.
Okay, good news is I don't go overboard.
Oh, interesting. That one just leapt into your hand. That's not how that works.
You mean that's not how
Fish
this
is
works?
writhing. Meanwhile, the fish is flopping in old man's hand.
Yes.
Saying
Which
comes
he
out of
then-
the captain's quarters. Who put garbage fish on the deck?
And then old man looks to his hand. And is like, "Wait, why did that happen?" And just drops it back into the river. That's not what I was looking for.
What the fuck do you? But fuck everything.
Okay,
I'm
I
gonna
have
go to the
a,
crow's nest.
To follow
There's
that
not a
up,
crow's nest up there.
I do have a final. I have a prompt for a final. Well, a next thing to push with Lysaea during our travels here. So after he has been met and then stoked a little bit and now recently spooked, a third meeting with Repose, where once again there's some amount of ominous quiet before anything starts to happen, and then
He does ask you this time, what do you want, pretty quickly. This keeps happening.
earlier this
what game we
year
pick.
you received a certain letter.
Face goes completely pale.
Repose wants Lysaea to understand exactly what went down this year and how this all unfolded into him being in this situation. With the most important thing that he will put forward being that if Lysaea had even the faintest reputation of being a decent man, this could all have gone extremely differently. It was just slightly better face. Hearing, laying out, yeah, you got the letter, you got offers of horrible things. Yeah, Bronze Man also got that letter. He accepted the offer. You saw what happened to him. And because you are so much who you are, we had no reason not to suspect that you wouldn't have done the same if you felt it would convenience you. Not much else of the details of how the Immaculates came around to that, but...
Alright, roll me presence. Manipulation presence. With a 1 dice stun. You literally have him chained and backed up into a corner.
Alright, here's 2.
You get the sense that he is being evasive with his answers directly, out of a combination of not wanting to say all of it, but also a combination of not wanting to say it not just because of you, but because he doesn't want to think about it. The gist of what happened, as far as he tells it, is that he got the letter, he got a direct visit from Tyrant, spoke with Tyrant, immediately got bad vibes from Tyrant, was surprisingly convinced by how eloquent and approachable he was, but took that as a bad sign, and wanted to wait and see specifically because he reasoned at the time that if Tyrant was approaching him, there would be no reason for him to be the only thing that he was doing in the region. And also, frankly, he admits just general, oh, this is a really bad feeling idea. I don't want to do this. Like, he will say up front, like one of almost direct quote, he's like, I'm a sleazy bastard. I'm not that level of sleazy. And the gist of it is he basically said, I'll consider it, and waited on it, and then by the time he could have or would have done anything about it, you all came in and massively complicated matters, and then the Bronze Axe happened and showed what happened if he had taken the offer, and is basically very much on the level of like, well, thank fuck I didn't do that. And the reason he was so catatonically terrified of the skeleton showing up was he was dead certain that was the Abyssal coming in to clean up loose ends.
How are we so like always consistently accidentally really clever with our methods of?
I don't fucking
Because
know.
we're champions.
You know,
I want you to know that this is not. I want this explicit. This is not me shifting the plot around what you've done. You keep doing this.
you know, I almost feel bad for this guy,
I don't know.
This is what
but
nature
he's
planned.
almost a terrible. He's also a terrible person. So no.
Yeah, no, he's
Guy.
a huge piece of shit. But he had literally any crumb of self-preservation when the Bronze Axe didn't. Hateful Eyes did not. Hateful Eyes was just like, ooh, the power, yeah, give me the power. While Lysaea was like, okay, I was raised by dynasts. This has always got a catch. What is it?
If he saw the power pan out for anybody, he probably would have taken the power.
Yes. That is the gist you get, is that if he had gotten confidence that he would not have been backstabbed, he would have grabbed that shit with both hands. But he knew better than to actually trust the pitch.
All right. So, all right, with these results, then Repose will kind of pass some preliminary judgment here. That is voiced with a very triumphant sense of good news, everyone.
Yeah.
Of just all right. So now that we have all of that on the table, and now that we've been able to review all of the facts, you almost didn't fuck up. You were almost good enough to succeed out here. It was only by the barest, narrowest, and most horrid of coincidences that everything unraveled for you the way it did at this time and place. And just leave it unsaid from having done the prior work of getting him, feeling tenacious and defiant, that how hard would it really be to fix any part of what has gone wrong? Now that you know how absolutely stupid your downfall was, does somehow weaseling your way out of this and surviving either at home or coming back out here to get revenge sound that impossible?
Yep.
That's all it took to defeat you. Imagine how just absolutely bullshit the things that we do to defeat Anathema can be.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of leave him with that.
There is a deeper fire in his eye. It's at that.
Just, all right, now I know that I can write on your grave, you tried.
You were a piece of shit, but you tried a bit.
We have to give kind of a little bit to him.
Was presented with the power and actively turned it down because, okay, I have one. I can't say I have standards. I have standard. I have the one.
You did perform the act of rejecting evil, and you did show up to the fight against the evil. Sometimes that's good enough.
I may be a huge piece of shit, but I don't want to end the world.
I wasn't. I was smart enough not to be the first person to try because I'm a coward.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, remember, folks, that Repose, as an active ancestor worshiper and non-hostile to ghosts in general, death isn't necessarily the end of this man. It can be the beginning.
He can pivot.
Yeah.
Or he can get worse.
Reincarnation's a known thing.
He can die and recover.
He may be a ghost that turns his life around, or he may be a ghost that just doubles down, actually. We'll see.
But first you have to get mad.
Yep. So, yeah, with that scene in mind, the brief overviews, we can go into these in a little more detail, because these are like 3 actually pretty major things that you'll probably be hitting on the way back if you take the boat back rather than the portal. Great Forks is a city run directly by gods, which is, at this point, yeah, that doesn't happen. That's, like, really directly frowned upon. But they're powerful enough that they can get away with it and have props, because this right here used to be the lair of one of the Death Lords, and they did some magical bullshit involving basically sorcerers working to insinuate a weakness onto her to make her bail out. She was planning on coming in and kicking the place over. They magicked at her, and she realized, wait, oh shit, hang on. They might actually be able to, like, perma-kill me. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, they managed to repel a hostile Death Lord who was in their business. So, yeah, some credit given to
like,
the God City over here.
Even hardline immaculates that are like, gods have no purpose, have no business directly running the affairs of mortals are like, but you did get rid of one of the Death Lords, so we'll ignore that.
Like, okay, if the rest of them were as useful as you 3 are, maybe we would change that stance.
Yeah. So, this Shadowland right here is her former domain that has been slowly shrinking over time via direct, pretty conscious effort to get rid of it. Nexus is Zozo from Final Fantasy VI. It is libertarian, capitalist, hell fiesta, industrialist town, nightmare.
It's Venice. There's Venice.
Yeah. And Look Shy, we've talked about. Go fuck yourself, Look Shy.
Venice, but, well, I know in prior editions it was the case. I don't know if Third has kept this up. The idea that the first citizen, the head of the guild, is a very mysterious and shrouded figure who is also an adventure hookup. Who the fuck is this person?
Yeah, that's not
who's managed to climb their way to the top of Cash Mountain.
It is not been really talked about in 3rd edition, but I'm basically still going with the 2nd edition portrayal because the 2nd edition portrayal of Nexus is actually pretty hysterical in terms of just how, like, for all the stuff I talked about how Look Shy is bad and it is bad in a not entertaining way that is just actually bad, Nexus is somebody going, I want to make the worst place. I just want to make the worst place. Just the place that everyone loves to hate. And it is that, it's trash. It's so terrible. It's wonderful.
I have a question.
Hey, what's up?
What is this tiny thing next to Look Shy, this shadow zone?
That is, God, I don't remember the name of it. It is basically a military accident happened out in that direction, and it is now a permanent shadow land.
Is that where they had to crack the orb?
Yeah, that is where the soul orb got busted.
Yeah, in the version of it that I was aware of.
That's the one that they repelled the realm with.
Yes, during one of their wars with the realm, they actually launched one of their WMDs, and that is the crater left behind.
That is so the first age had a way of manufacturing the equivalent of a nuclear weapon by artificially creating and then splitting the atom of a soul. And we blew one of those up because we threatened to do that if the realm showed up, and you did. And we're not actually backing down. We will, in fact, nuke you. And that is the reason the realm has not fucked with Lookshy very directly in a while, because, they are actually crazy.
Yeah, fuck Lokshy.
If you want to march a legion in here, we will drop the orb on it.
Mutually assured destruction.
The downside to their policies, they can't make any more of those, and they have far fewer of them than they actually say they do.
Darren, would that be very similar to what a certain video game I don't want to talk about because of spoilers might have done to Faux Lu?
Yes, that is effectively what a soul, whatever those orbs basically do are, minus the human sacrifice part.
Rad.
It is
okay. Thank you.
It is, yeah.
And then, meanwhile, down the way, since it is, tangentially relevant to current goings on, hey, there's Thorns.
That's where the mask lives.
There's Mask House.
That is where the nominal boss of Ruby Gauntlet Tyrant lives. That is the Death Lord that kicked down the door of creation and was like, hey, what the fuck up? I actually rule this place in the meat zone now. This is mine, and I will take care of it as the noble and just ruler of everyone, living and dead. Don't mind the fact that most of the living are dying off really fast. Thorns is very interesting and complicated, and Mask especially because he is simultaneously the Death Lord that does a lot of spy shit and a lot of backstabbing, but is also very focused on being seen as diplomatic and reasonable. Like, he will send out, like actual diplomats and meetings with other rulers of the region who rarely reciprocate, but occasionally do, and every time they take him up on it, there has never been a backstab or a eat your soul or a ghost stuff. It's like, he'll just show up and, like, do normal diplomacy between rulers. It's just that he's also a super ghost.
I'm a society.
How am I any less valid than you bunch of murderous conquering bastards? Just because I'm dead? Etc. But yeah. Otherwise, Glome is a port city in the middle of the inner sea that is usually used for resupplies. It's honestly not going to be that relevant to this game, so I don't need to talk about it much.
It's there.
And?
It's there, implying the presence of more islands in this sea somewhere.
Yeah. Its hook is basically like, there is something beneath the city that is driving people mad! Woo! And that's about all the writing it gets. But we can leave off as Boat, at the end of about a month-and-a-half journey, approaches the immense mouth of the Imperial River, and the Blessed Isle comes into view. For some, it is a welcome homecoming, if somewhat tense and awkward. For others, it is the first time they've ever seen the Blessed Shores. And for one, it is the last place he'd ever wanted to go back to. Next time, the Blessed Isle.
Next time, Obsidian spends all his time on a boat.
We'll see about that.
Island time.
Island
Next time.